Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Always Hard podcast. I'm here with our first guest and also co-host for the following episodes. This man is a veteran of this community, Chris Gentry, also known as bGoatBiz. So, how you doing, man?
So, a veteran, that's crazy. I am pretty old, but that being said, I'm doing as good as any tired old guy could be.
Alright, so start with this thing, right? So first of all, where do you come from? What's your name and stuff? Where does all begin?
Oh man, the origins, the origin story. I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. It's probably easily found with a Google search of me anyway. So, but yeah, it's you had it right, surprisingly, Chris Gentry. A lot of people actually pronounce it like Gentry sometimes, which it's English. English is probably one of the worst languages ever because there's so many different ways to pronounce something. So I get it. But yeah, I crawled out of the womb with a skateboard, and here I am.
Fuck yeah, dude. So, you were born in Pennsylvania. Your name is Chris Gentry. Is it Christopher or just Chris? Christian?
It is Christopher. It's actually Christopher
Gentry. The full name.
Oh yeah. A bearer of Christ, they say.
Yeah. And how's life growing up, man?
Oh man. Pennsylvania is not that eventful. There's a lot of history here, so if you're like a history buff and such, like that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind history. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's cool to know your history so that you can avoid repeating it because history does repeat itself, as they say. It's not just a cliche. I've lived and learned, and that being said, I mean, there was nothing really to do around here but hang out with friends and get together and see what you could do to pass the time. And one of those things eventually became skateboarding. So yeah, like essentially before skateboarding, it was pretty much gaming for me. Just kind of everybody I grew up around with was gamers. My grandmother had a Super Nintendo, was always playing Donkey Kong or Zelda, as well as my uncle playing Resident Evil on the PlayStation, and of course I'd always sneak away and have to get in on that when he was at work and whatnot. And just gaming, it all started with that, and it kind of blended in perfectly with skateboarding because around the same time skateboarding was getting big. You had Tony Hawk, Pro Skater getting big, and even then, like that both. I mean, the stars aligned for everybody. It seems like that was just kind of like the perfect year, I guess, 1999 for everybody. With skateboarding aligning with gaming and the boom, and I don't know. Everything was just a much simpler time, and there's a lot of excitement going on, and it was the thing to do. So skateboarding and gaming it was,
Especially with Tony Hawk landing the 900 on national television, so it's like,
100%. That if anything just gave it that bigger boost.
Yeah,
became a phenomenon, a literal phenomenon. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a combination of a lot of things. It's like perfect timing for everything, basically.
100%.
Yeah. Also, I think that maybe not everyone or a lot of people know. Who knows? But you're missing a leg, right? The right leg.
Oh yeah, yeah. So essentially, when I was born out of that womb with a skateboard, I did have two legs when I was born. Some people might not know that. So some people question, but so I did actually have two legs when I was born. And it wasn't until like one of those like monthly baby checkup deals, and I guess the doctor's like, hey, this leg's not growing, but this one is. That's kind of peculiar, I guess. And like, I guess when they went and kind of observed, they were like, oh, well, it's because this leg doesn't have a femur. And in my 30 plus years of life, I've recently discovered a couple years ago that there's actually kind of like different types of the condition I would have had, which would have been PFFD, which is just a fancy way of saying I was born without a femur. There's actually like different like types, I guess, based on the development of the femur. So it's like you could have like a type A through D severity depending on how much femur development you had. And I'm not really aware of how much femur development I've had, but I do know that, like, so since I didn't have a femur, my knee was like up at my hip, for example. They had to fuse my knee to my hip so that I wouldn't have like that hypermobility and whatnot. But yeah, essentially, if you've seen the way I skate, the way I can kind of get away with the way I skate, having essentially my limb on like directly on the board, is because it's essentially like the bottom of my foot. It's not actually a foot. If you Google like PFFD and whatnot, you can see kind of the different remedies that they do, if you will, for surgeries, surgical procedures. Like one, for example, is they take the foot and they kind of just turn it around, and then they would use that as like the makeshift knee joint for prosthetics.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case for me. So I'm not sure 100% how they did it. I almost feel like they did take it, flip it, but then like took off the toes and such. But at the very same time, I don't think that's the case, because if you look at my limb, there's like, you can see my Achilles. Like I have an Achilles on that and such. Like, and I know like I have a shin, and yeah, like it's so I think my orientation of my foot is there. I just don't like have toes or anything, but the way I can get away with kind of putting some pressure on it and skating on it is because it is essentially like a foot.
Yeah. So it is flat on the bottom, right?
Not it's more like a heel. It's more like a heel. That's the best way I could describe it. It's more like if you look at your foot, it's like if you go in line with your shin just kind of straight down, it's not just like a straight up heel. Like there's shape to it, because the way, like where my Achilles is, they kind of use that, like the shape of that, as like a hook for when they design my prosthetics, because they can kind of have an opening in the back of the socket, and my leg can slip in, and then we put like this backing on, and then my leg kind of naturally hooks in and keeps that fit because of the way it's shaped. But it's I don't know. It just, the best way I could describe it is it's just like a heel, essentially. It looks pretty much 1-in-1 to my heel.
I see. And I imagine the prosthetic kind of hurts, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not fun. That's like one thing that a lot of people might not understand, because everybody's different. I mean, just knowing that, but everybody's amputation is also different. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. It's handled differently. Even just from the trauma itself to the doctor that's treating it, or the path that they choose to treat it. You know what I mean? But all in all, when all is said and done, the less that you are making up for, it's always going to be easier. So those with like, quote unquote, a below knee amputation have technically less to make up for with prosthetics. So not to necessarily say life is easier for them, but they have less to compensate for. So it could be an easier transition. Not saying they wouldn't go through the same aches and pains, because it's definitely not comfortable. There's a lot of rubbing. There's a lot of sweating. You'll get blisters and shit. It sucks. Definitely sucks.
I imagine so, because you have a metal or plastic thing on your leg, so it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like all different types of materials too, and it's like a constant battle to. It's never. I always tell people it's never really about how comfortable it is. It's about how long I can go until it starts to hurt, because you always want to get the most use out of it.
Yeah, they are expensive.
Yeah, insurance doesn't like fucking. Insurance barely likes when I get. They told me that I can get a pair of crutches once every 5 years, and I'm like, these are like shoes to me. You're kidding me, right? Like, I have a new pair that I just got less than a month ago, and they're trashed already, dude. I take them to work every other day. Like,
damn,
it's crazy.
Wow.
Healthcare's a joke. But anyway.
It is. It very much is.
Yeah. It'd be like that. It'd be like that.
Yeah. And continuing on with your life, you have a family, of course.
Oh yeah.
Like every human
Oh, yeah.
being. But you got married and you have a daughter. So how that
Oh
went
yeah.
along?
Oh man. I forget how long ago exactly and like how old I was and whatnot, but it was just kind of a classic case of like a mutual eye to eye type thing, like noticing one another and then just kind of going from there.
Yeah.
I mean, just been together ever since, and the kiddo was born in 2012. She's Man, time flies. It's crazy. She'll be in her teens this year. It's insane.
Congratulations, man.
Just imagine Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD came out the year she was born.
Oh shit. You're right.
That's how time flies, you know. It's crazy to think
Yeah.
about it like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, THPS 5 is already 10 years old.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Has it aged like a fine wine?
No, but
In some aspects, I'm sure.
it never was good. So it's like,
Hey, what's up? I'm Tony Hawk. I'm here with Chris Cole. He is featured in the new video game Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. And guess what? So am I. This game is the best of our first two games. Same gameplay with button combos, 2-minute challenges, collect the letters of skate, get high scores, find the secret tape. When people see it, they're gonna be really blown away by the graphics, but all of a sudden they're gonna feel comfortable with the layout, they're gonna know it instinctively, they're gonna know the controls, where the challenges are, but at the same time, the visuals and the gameplay are so much better that you're gonna get even deeper into the game and immersed in it.
Nice.
All right, that was the first preview of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD.
Josh, we love you.
I mean, it didn't age. It already aged.
Activision, you're questionable. Robo, you gave it a shot.
Yeah, at least they gave it a proper shot.
They walked so that VV could kind of, you know,
Yeah.
continue to walk, I guess.
So they could leap forward. Not run, but leap forward. Just took a little hop.
Graphically.
Yeah. And physics wise. Guess?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. So
That's a whole other story.
oh, yeah. So after talking about your family, let's talk about the meat and potatoes. Tony Hawk's
Meat
Pro
and
Skater.
potatoes.
How do you?
Oh man.
I mean, I imagine you know about the games because the whole buzz around skateboarding. So,
Oh, yeah.
How do you play THPS for the first time? You know, funny anecdotes you have with it.
So, yeah, like you mentioned, like, you know, skating and gaming were going hand in hand around the time, and it was like I remember playing THPS 1, and it was at a friend's house, like down the street, and I remember playing it, and I didn't think much of it, but I was just like, oh, this is cool, like a skateboarding game, neat. I don't even think I spent that much time playing it, but like, because I was out skating right after, you know, but I mean, I guess it's a testament to that game because like it made me want to skate all the time. Or if I couldn't skate, I'd play that. So, but either way, that was my like first introduction to the game, and then I think I played THPS 2 kind of like in the same manner where I was at like a get together with a bunch of buddies, and there was like an N64 on a projector, and I played THPS 2 on that, I believe, and yeah, that was pretty fun. I spent a little more time with it. I remember that. But again, it was like just kind of back to skating. And then HPS 3 came out, and I had my own like PlayStation 2 console because I mentioned like I'd sneak off and play my uncle's PlayStation Resident Evil. I didn't have my own system necessarily until the PlayStation 2, I think it was. And well, I had like an N64 and such before, but I don't think like I've actually owned a THPS until it was THPS 3 because I had it definitely on N64 at one point, but I know I had it on PlayStation 2 at one point.
Yeah.
And that has to be like the first TH I've owned. But then from then on too, it was kind of like THPS 4 dropped, and it wasn't something like I got right away, but it was something my neighbor had, and I was over there playing it, and I was like, yeah, these games are really getting fucking like they're really solid, man. Like they're really honing in, like, and it's still too like a part of the skating culture, and they're really one and one with the skating culture, and it's never soft. They're like that fun in their games too, and I was like, I started getting more into like how games were kind of working, like functioning, and I like stumbled upon a glitch in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 or 4, and it like stuck with me, like, oh, this is cool. And from there, I remember I would like go down to the public library and use their computer because we didn't have a home computer, and I would like search for different like tricks and tips and like glitches and cheats, whatever. And I stumbled upon the BGOAT forums, and like that really made me get into the games, especially because there was different things that you could do that you shouldn't necessarily be doing. There was places we were going that we weren't necessarily supposed to be able to go to. And then just the fun little Easter eggs too that like Neversoft would sprinkle in their games. And then just the representation of skateboarding too altogether just really got me hooked into the games. From there, Underground came out, got that. Underground 2 came out, got that. Like from there, I was on it after Pro Skater 4, I'd say.
Yeah. And there's footage to show that. Because you
oh yeah,
back in the day you uploaded videos.
Oh yeah. I don't know if there's any. You might not ever see. Man, it might be out there. I don't know. It's hard to say these days with like all the image hosts. Like Image Shack, I don't think's ever a thing anymore. But I think I might have posted like some TH4 thug glitches back in the day, and even that might be on like original forums yet too. So that could even be lost to time. But it's very rare you might see something pre thug from me anywhere. You'll probably see it mainly in Thaw and Beyond. And that's mainly just because of limitation from my tech. Because back in the day, I wasn't able to get what everybody was calling a capture card back in the day until like around the end life of American Wasteland. So I wasn't ever able to like actually post anything I'd find. I'd be able to like document it and kind of tell people about it. I had a buddy of mine who's big in the speedrunning community. Shout out to bGoatBiz. He would always kind of chill out with me and cap some glitches for me, and that was always cool. So that's how my stuff was getting posted there, and eventually that's how I was able to finally get into bGoat and acquire my own capture card and whatnot, and handle my own shit. But it was definitely like a team effort for sure.
Yeah. And talking about bGoat, you joined in THPS 4, right? Or like was it after? I think it was.
So it's there's like two distinguishing factors to the term joined. So like the first time I joined, I would say was maybe around the end of TH4 Underground, and that was like I wasn't in bGoat. I just joined the public forums, I believe, and that was like a transitional period for bGoat too, because we had the old database, and then they like migrated to the IPB boards or whatever, and they had the new forums, and I was a part of that. I didn't actually get into bGoat clan until like towards the end life of American Wasteland, but I was a forum worker around Pro Skater 4, and eventually a forum member from Underground at least on, and then an actual member from American Wasteland on.
Okay, so it was around that time. And what was the process like? How how exactly? Like, who did you
Oh man.
ask? Who invited you on?
So my time in BGOAT it's a huge meme. It's a
Oh.
huge meme. So like I first signed up, and if you ever had the pleasure of experiencing a public forum board, you might have experienced differing opinions, or even people just like shitting on you for the fact that you're new to a forum board. You might not be adhering to a rule that like you know what I mean, like common sense things, and people will give you shit for it. And I was a teenage kid at the time, so rightfully so. So yeah, I would kind of get trolled around a little bit. I was cycling usernames for a good while on the forums. But it's like they had my IP, and they're just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like, I want to hang out with you guys. So eventually they let little Biz chill, and I just kind of brute forced my way into their hearts, I guess you could say. And yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it had to do with just being active in the community, and like glitching my heart out. And because there wasn't necessarily like many groundbreaking glitches I was finding, admittedly, so in like in like Underground or Underground 2, it was just kind of like, oh, here's a new spot that wasn't maybe found with a corner glitch or so. I don't know. I don't think it was until the end life of American Wasteland, and like the craziest part is American Wasteland, we had bGoat duct tape like at his finest, and he glitched the ever living shit out of that game. So it was like it was very hard to kind of keep up with it. Like there was a lot of big names glitching that too, but Duck was by far the biggest because he was the most active, and he was finding a lot of cool shit. He was doing like controller unplug menu glitches and such, like UI breaks, such cool shit, disk swaps, so many cool things. But yeah, I think I might have found like a couple things that luckily he didn't find in American Wasteland. And then Project 8, when that dropped, well, I jumped right to Project 8. Let's not ignore TH Ride and Shred. So when Ride was announced, I have a video somewhere of me watching. I need to find it. I don't know if it's been lost to time, but I have it somewhere, and it's me watching the reveal of TH Ride. And when Tony shows that board, I let out like a, oh fuck no, like really no, and like you can hear the disbelief in my voice. It's crazy. I remember it to this day. But so those games obviously didn't do the greatest, and bGoat was kind of at a little bit of a rough point. Yeah. Oh wait, did I jump from Wasteland to Ride and Shred? Oh my god, I might have.
I think you did.
Sorry. Project 8. We can't forget Project 8 and Proving Ground. After American Wasteland, Project 8, I found a couple of decent glitches because a lot of people moved on to next gen. That's what I was getting at. I for some reason confused the transition with next gen and Ride, but there's a couple different transitions in bGoat's life that's pivotal, and those are two of them. So Project 8 was a huge deal because everybody was switching to the next generation consoles, and a lot of people that weren't, they were kind of left in the dust a little bit, we felt like, because we were getting, you know, the leftovers in the last gen versions, and while we were getting those leftovers, I tried to, you know, make cake out of shit and eat it, and with a grin. And luckily, there was many awesome glitches to be found. And it's weird because people say like those last gen, like Project 8 and Proving Ground, they might have a bad taste in their mouth. You're gonna say the next gen versions are better, which they're both really good games in my opinion in their own respects. But like I love them both equally. The last gen versions, in my opinion, are amazing simply because of the glitches that can be done in them. In Proving Ground, you can literally rig paths. You might be able to do it in next gen too, but you could rig paths onto voids and create your own solid areas to ignore the voids, like the Uber frigs rather. Like it's huge for glitches. And then even just like stacking objects too, Stairway to Heaven glitches and such. You can get on heavens and zone heavens, and then you can break zone loads. It's insane what you can do on those games. It's pretty cool. But so that being a thing, luckily we found a bunch of cool shit last gen, and that kind of kept the boat afloat. And then the other pivotal moment with Ride and Shred, we had a weird transition point where people tried it, and the fact that you couldn't have a controller in there, it killed any potential, honestly. Like, there's glitches to be found in that game, but do you want to find them in that game? Are you going to even be able to if you have a controller that's only working 50% of the time? That's like the other question. So it just kind of very much wasn't worth it. And then when HD got announced, there was a lot of mixed feelings, but nonetheless hype, because it was a TH game. We can kind of get the band back together, but it didn't actually turn out to be that way. A lot of people either got it and just didn't like it. It's not Neversoft. It's not like the THPS engine. I get it. 100% I do. And we just didn't have that many active glitchers in there. Luckily, Duct Tape and I glitched the shit out of that game the best we could, to at least make somewhat of a bGoat footprint in there. And that kind of led to me being able to like talk with Robo and kind of consult loosely with HD kind of midlife, and Pro Skater 5 loosely, which is cool because I'm all for trying to keep the TH name alive and well. But yeah, it just kind of didn't work out. Like after HD, we tried doing, or no, maybe it might have been after 5, maybe even before, but at one point we tried toying around with the idea of just like glitching all Activision published games. And one of my thoughts was like, why not start with COD? COD's, another huge title, but I had a buddy of mine, ATG 6 Volt. He was from the all-time glitchers glitch clan back in the day. He actually was like super down, and we were playing COD together a whole lot. So I actually gave him a bGoat invite and made him a bGoat member, and him and I were pretty much the only ones doing anything for COD. So we were at least trying to kind of keep the bGoat name alive. And 1+2 now, like when that dropped, again, it was kind of this, like, there's always a certain select few people that are really glitching it, at least bGoat wise. Not many members are active. There's still like an active bGoat community, but if anything, like, we're just kind of all gamers and lifers,
Yeah. And that's when it sort of like didn't die down, but it sort of stopped, right?
Yeah, right now bGoat is kind of like, we have a Discord where we kind of just we'll kick it in there, and there's a lot of OG members in there. There's a Facebook group that I made a while back just to kind of centralize everybody and try to keep everybody in touch. I think the forums, the registration, I don't think's open. And we did that a long time ago. We closed that mainly because we have so many fucking bots on there, and it's just not worth it to keep it open because there's not that many like new registrators versus like bot like accounts. So all in all, if anything, I think our process was just like manually adding somebody in if they were inclined to join the forums or something, or something like that. But we haven't had the forums open in a while. Either way, I think they're up. I think they're still publicly available to view. I know at the very least the site is, and that's like for preservation's sake. For a while there, it was down, and a lot of people were kind of like in my ear, like, "Yo, what's up with the bGoat site?" and bring it up. Like somebody, it was Nevada, I think, sent me a picture that he found, and it was a printout from the old bGoat glitch database forums that he printed out back in the day to do, and I thought that was so cool because it brought back such memories. Like, I used to do that shit too before I was in bGoat, and Yeah, it's pretty cool. People wanted it back for at the very least preservation's sake, because it is the central hub. It is I'll say it, the world's largest glitch database and Easter egg database for Tony Hawk. It is what it is. There's a reason Neversoft flew out the founder and had him play Project 8 and Proving Ground pre-release, like,
and did mocap.
and they had him in the mocap suit. Good old Jason.
Yeah.
Shout out Wiz, man.
You gotta show that picture on screen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The dude is actually wearing a mocap suit.
So yeah, BGOAT Wiz, he's the founder of BGOAT. He's our fearless leader. He actually he got flown out to play Tony Hawk's Project 8 and Tony Hawk's Proving Ground pre-release. There was actually, I think it was for Proving Ground. BGOAT Nick actually also went with BGOAT Nick as well. BGOAT Nick also went with BGOAT Wiz to Neversoft as well for Proving Ground, which is pretty neat. There was 2 BGOATs in the building. But yeah, there's another shot too. Wiz is actually sitting there playing the game, and you have Brian Bright standing behind him with Joel Jewett.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of the people surrounding them are also demoing the game. Like, those are reviewers. They're going to be there writing reviews on this game, right? And Brian Bright and Joel don't care about those guys. They care about Wiz. They're like, what is this guy doing to our game? Let's watch him, you know? And funnily enough, Wiz actually told me the story behind that picture. And he said, like, I was just playing the game, and there was a couple things I wanted to try, but he felt them behind him, and he's like, I didn't want to, like, try certain things because, A, if they worked, I didn't want them to get patched, and B, I didn't want to inadvertently shit on their product that they just worked hard on. You know what I mean? Like, out of respect also, you know? So, but it's a funny thing, because they want him to go in there and mangle that shit so they can figure it out. You know what I mean? There's a reason they're staring at him. It's such a cool picture.
At what point of development was that? Like, was it around the mid development? The end of it?
Well, that was, I want to say that was probably like, oh man, that was either like second quarter of the year or like summertime, I think. I want to say, because if I remember correctly, Wiz kind of said he was doing it at the beginning of, like, towards the beginning of the year, and I think we kind of thought it was an April Fool's joke, because every year Wiz would like to do a fucking April Fool's joke. Yeah. And for, like, idiots, half the time we would fall for it. Like, there was one time he had, and it wasn't even like a very good convincingly done, like, image, but it was like an image that he took from Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, and for some reason nobody noticed, and he, like, said, like, that this was the next Tony Hawk announced and shit. And like, some of us were like, no way, like, what is this shit? It looks so cartoony. And then I think he played it off like a whole day, maybe even let it go for 2, like a devious Wiz, who knows? But like, he was just like, you guys, this is from Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. Like, it's great. I think he might have did it with like American Skateland or something. I don't know. He might have put like the American Skateland logo with the Extreme Skate Adventure. He was doing something something weird, and we were like it was at a perfect timing where he had us.
Yeah. Oh, I bet he was laughing.
Oh yeah, every year you'd get us. But yeah, I want to say he announced it like towards the beginning of the year. He said that he was getting invited out, and like, of course, he'd be signing some NDAs and whatnot, but he'd be able to share with us what he can when embargo lifts and whatnot. But like, ultimately, he was able to share some stuff immediately. But then a lot of stuff he had to keep to himself until that shit lifted. And when it lifted, he was able to kind of start sharing like some of those pictures of him in the mocap and him like sitting in the hallway Thug 2 bench and shit. Like,
I imagine it was like midway through development, like around the time after the first public demos.
It,
that were
it
held in
definitely
BSC.
it's definitely pre-gold because it's in like review state, I would assume, since they had a lot of those like publications out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of, well, not a lot. There's some from IGN from around summer. It was from, I forgot the name of the actual convention,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a game convention in Germany. They had a demo
Okay.
of Project 8 there. Actually, got the footage. IGN uploaded it, and I got the footage on the Neversoft archive.
Oh yeah.
SDMC also has footage because he went to that convention. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that version is fucking rough. It's
Oh,
fucking
man.
rough. The animation,
Hand cam.
the animations look horrible. The physics
Oh, you're
are
talking about like
janky.
the game footage itself, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean the actual game. Basti had recorded it with, I don't know, like I think it was DV tape. It's very low quality, and actually he did with a camera because according to what he told me, there was a security guard or someone watching over the game. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, you can't record this.
No flash photography, sir.
So it was
Yeah, that's
kinda
fair.
like a hidden camera situation there.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
You can see it more
Um,
clearly in the review footage from like IGN. The game was
Yeah.
really rough. I mean
They were probably
levels-
still doing their animation blending Apex system and whatnot.
Yeah, Apex was very buggy. From I can assume how it worked at that point. It would do the Apex launch takeoff. Then when you were about to land, it would give you the land stay, right? But it never went back if you go over a surface, and it would look really weird. The speed-based animations, the ones that make your board more wobbly and stuff. were
Yeah, the
implemented
wibbles and
right.
shit.
And the turning animations specifically look bad. Like the skater tweaks a lot to one side. And just,
So was it their IK too? That's tough.
no, it was on flat ground. They looked kind of weird. So it must have been like a really late fix in development. And in that version as well, Tony's model was different. He had the final version of his clothing, but his face was still the face he had in the E3 trailer.
Okay.
And it
Well,
was poorly rigged. So whenever he bailed, you would see his face deforming and stuff.
oh yeah, I remember seeing that shot. So there's something interesting I noticed about that shot actually, and I don't know if I ever brought it up to you, but if you ever noticed on certain like game magazines and such, there's different Tony renders and such, like different models. That face reminds me of one of the ones I've seen.
Yeah, because he has this Quicksilver jacket, which I don't know if it's actually a real jacket or Neversoft just came up with it. Because I actually want that fucking jacket.
That jacket's tight.
But it's
Neversoft, man,
Tony's
they made
first
some tight
face
clothes.
scan. I think they did 2 face scans for Tony. One right at the beginning of development, where he's like has like almost black eyes because he has his eyes sort of closed. And then on the final version, it's another scan, which looks a little bit more cartoony. You can see his hair changed a little bit. He looks less like himself in real life. I think the first
Yeah.
scan was a better scan of his face, but it looked kind of weird in game. So I guess they just redid his whole head. But it was very late in development because, again, you can see in that demo, he already has the final clothing, but in the E3 trailer, he has like a T-shirt with the audio logo. But in that version, he has the T-shirt and he has the Quicksilver jacket, which I think had some shading problems because you could see like the polygons on the arm. It looked very, very rough. So I think it was a weird middle development sort of thing. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what was the process of that, because you look at the behind the scenes footage, and you can see when they scanned Dustin Dolan and when they scanned Nigel Houston, and they just are wearing their clothes. But Tony, we don't know how the fuck it was. He was scanned. We don't have any photos or footage of him being scanned. So it's like, oh, did he get scanned like 20 times and they just never nailed one until the last one, or what's the? It's a really, really obscure, weird thing. Like, how exactly was the process? I would love to know. I would love to interview the entire team here. Hey, what's up? What the fuck happened? Did you make that jacket, or how? Yeah.
They probably just worked with Tony so many years. They probably have like a time lapse of his aging, like with face scans.
They do.
It's crazy
because his clothes always changed in every game.
Activision like owns his likeness basically.
Yeah.
They just have his face.
Yeah, and his name and stuff. But I can see that in development, in all the games, he changed the tires like 5 times. In THPS 1, they just did his model once, that was it. And THPS 2 originally had an audio logo, but then in the final version, they changed it to a Hawk Shoes logo. Because I think Hawk Shoes was founded midway through it. So it's like Audio's sub-brand of only Tony Hawk shoes.
Yeah.
And then in THPS 3, he had a red shirt and like helmet, and he had a cargo short.
Have I ever showed you this model here? Let me see. You can show it on screen too, because I don't know if I ever showed this before. This one was publicly found. This is like a early last gen screenshot of the skate lounge, or not the skate lounge of
model.
Yeah, so check this.
Holy shit.
I have a better shot of that next gen model. So
yo, his face actually looks like him. What the fuck?
Here's the thing about that, right? So while that's the next gen model, okay, that's the last gen game though. This is the next gen beta model in the next gen game, and I don't think this has ever been shown publicly. I showed it to a couple people. He's doing an animation test, but you can see like early level Geo in the background, and yeah, it definitely does. But
we can see
the funny thing I noticed. Now, since we were talking about like other early games, let me see here.
His hair's pretty much the same though. His face though, his facial features changed, and of course the clothing. That's the Hawk, the Hawk clothing logo. I think Hawk clothing stopped existing in 2007.
You know what's cool about that shot though?
What
is in? This goes all the way back to Tony Hawk's Underground.
Oh damn! Really?
Because his beta outfit has that same like Hawk logo.
Yeah. Funny enough,
and then I have another shot.
He has that logo. It's in THPS 4, but he has it on his back, and it's like the red version. Oh damn! Look at that. Damn. What the fuck is that build?
There's a
like the one that's publicly available.
The last one I sent you, I forget which build that's from.
I think it would be the publicly available version. Probably
it might be the Lost Levels one.
Yeah. But that shot of Tony though. His face looked way better.
That next gen THPG one that was sent to me by Davidicus.
Oh. Can we show it?
Oh yeah, we can definitely show it.
I mean, he doesn't have an NDA for those anymore. Does he even work at Activision anymore? I think he does.
Not sure.
Probably not. But yeah, you can see the lighting in the beta looked so much better.
Oh yeah, so if you have the strategy guide for THPG and you browse through it, there's actually some development shots that they published in there, and you can actually it's like block out development shots, and you can see the lighting is way better.
Yeah, the game definitely got a downgrade because you can see the difference from Proving Ground compared to Project 8. The lighting is worse. The shading is worse. And in the beta, you can see that the shading is the same quality as Project 8, but the specular mapping, you can actually see like the oiliness in the skin.
Yeah, it's weird because I seen shots of Project 8 where it was like kind of gloomy looking, but then that game kind of came out looking all vibrant, and then I seen shots of Proving Ground where it looked all vibrant, but then it came out all gloomy. It's weird. I don't know what
sort of like a golden sort of look, kind of like a piss filter,
like a crisp. Yeah.
I mean, the final game looks really, really gray, but here it looks
like
more
washed
brownish. More brownish, more orange, more tinted gold. So like a VX100 camera.
I think they wanted like a grunge washed out look, but I
mean the menus are grunge. There's grunge in the game. Have Nirvana Foo Fighters, so it's like.
I think with the time of day, they might have just washed it out too much.
Yeah, I could try restoring those values, but I think it's kind of weird. I mean, looking at the scripts for the time of day stuff, it's not actually time of day. It's sort of like evening and what is it? A fall, autumn, winter, rain. It's not like night, day, evening, afternoon. No, it's sort of like more like a weather thing.
Interesting.
And those do have the color saturation value in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the actual bloom the blooming is there, but the actual lighting stuff, I think it's an engine change, like a big one. Because the final version doesn't do specular maps like this.
I forget. Does Proving Ground have time of day?
No, it has weather.
I think it does. Yeah, it has weather.
Time of day.
I didn't think so.
And Project 8 has nothing.
Yeah.
I think they had the weather system from Proving Ground in Project 8 during the beta. That's why some shots look gloomier and some shots actually look more sunny.
Could very well be.
Yeah. I think they just never finished it and pushed it to the next game. And in the next game, they ended up downgrading everything because I'm willing to bet it ran like shit. And, they...
Might have been a hardware limitation for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense considering that, the game is not like GTA, for example, that has like hardcore clipping and all sorts of optimization tactics. Neversoft didn't have that.
I mean, they were very creative with what they were given. I think most of it just comes down to like we probably would have seen some really cool shit come out of THPS 10 and then some. Because every title iteration that we got in its not even in its final form. Like Proving Ground was its final form, if you think about it, because that's kind of their titles. Just every year would lead up to another thing, and if they weren't able to do it in that title, we'd get it in the next. So like when they are revamping things such as time of day, and it's completely not in Proving Ground, but there's a weather system, it almost makes me think that we would have got weather system plus time of day in THPS 10. You know what I mean? Kind of working in tandem. Very well could have been.
Yeah. And I mean, Proving Ground got a longer development time thanks to Gun.
This is true.
Gun is like the thing that sort of like changed things a little bit. It made Thaw exist.
Yeah.
And it made Proving Ground have an extra 6 months of development. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but still, it's better than 6 months. That's usually the time
better than no months.
The time they develop in the games. Very rushed, but that's the Activision way of doing things, I guess. Again, if Activision, for 1 year, they said, you know what, we'll give you 2 years, I bet the last game would have been, a big one.
You know what's funny about that is like they sit on so much money already, and they have multiple studios, but they still insist to run these guys. Well, like not even just COD though. Like it's so. If they really wanted to, they could have multiple IPs to sit on, to have everybody have breathing room and put time. I mean, not to say they don't put time and effort into their development these days, but like to really be able to put time and development into it and love into it, and not have to crutch on DLC cycles and hotfixes. Like you can do that, but they don't see it that way. They just like I heard that COD is not in a good state right now, and it's not surprising because this happens every other year, because every other year it's always COD.
Yeah. That's actually, if you look at the timeline of releases of Activision, it's COD. It just goes like that for a couple of years, ever since 2014.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, if things aren't looking good, I'm telling you, the moment that like they'll treat Treyarch and Infinity Ward as their golden gooses, just like they did Neversoft. But the moment that Call of Duty starts doing underwhelming sales, they're going to get tossed aside, and that IP will get wrung out, and then they'll be on to the next thing. Like maybe they'll bring back Guitar Hero in hopes that like, hey, Fortnite's doing it and it's popular again, we could do it too. Like, because honestly, that's really all the publishers care about, is putting something on the shelves that'll line their pockets. Which, I mean, fine. That's your business. It's a business thought process. It's how a business works. So that's fair. But at the same time, you can't expect people not to be disgruntled, or a product to be 110% if you're giving these people like slave hours
or worse.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get treated nicely in that industry. It sucks because there's a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
The people with the suits, they just have their ties on too tight. They need to throw a hat back, turn it sideways, and just chill.
Yeah. Put quality over quantity. Like,
exactly.
We hear that a lot, but they never do it.
The fact that like a lot of games are, which multiplayer is awesome. I'm all for multiplayer games, but it's become such a thing where like single player has lost its love. And I don't necessarily mean single player as in like you have to experience this playthrough by yourself. Co-op campaigns are just as cool. I want like an experience rather than something that's kind of like haphazardly. Like I can't say Fortnite was haphazardly thrown together, because obviously there's mechanics in there that they've fine-tuned and cooked up. But the simple fact is, like, it's just it's Call of Duty. Like, you're playing, you're going around shooting, and you're eliminating people. And it's just kind of been the same thing. Like Grand Theft Auto, I jump in there, run around, shoot things. Like, now Grand Theft Auto, I like the story, because the story is cool. Call of Duty, like, I don't know. I like jumping into maybe zombies for the narrative, and if there's an Easter egg, I'll do it for the narrative, and then it just kind of like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
A lot of games just don't have, like, a lot of games are very, I guess, would the word be like linear? Very, very black and white now, it feels like almost.
Yeah. Very much full with sequence. And that's it.
It's like they have a formula for games these days, and it's just like, I don't know, multiplayer, DLC.
I mean, just look at Skate. The one from what? A mostly single player game. And now it's
it looks
free
like it's
to
all
play
online.
MMO thing, live service. And the last big one that came out,
Sandbox.
which was Riders Republic, is the same. Well, not free to play, but it's massive
same kind of
multiplayer, no real story. Live service, DLC, microtransactions, sandbox. It's like every game that comes out has to be this thing. And yeah.
I remember back in the day when like multiplayer was the thing that kept the game alive, if that makes sense. Like you get the game for the game, but then you jump into multi, like, you know, to keep playing the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was just me too, because I've always been a fan. I've always been a fan of like Call of Duty. I do like Call of Duty, but I like Call of Duty 4, the Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, like the original Modern Warfare trilogy. The campaigns are awesome. And then it's like the Black Ops campaigns are cool too, but now I don't even think one of the games had a campaign for one of the releases like recently. Like I think they just completely ignored it.
The last
one I think does, and maybe the one before. But there was one where they were just like, "Yeah, we're not doing a campaign this year," and I was like, "Excuse me."
I think it was when Warzone came out.
It makes sense. Like, so yeah. Unfortunately, COD's been like, and that's here's the thing again. It's all the publisher whipping their tie. Like, so Black Ops 4, if you're a fan of that, you know how tragically that game suffered because of Activision, and seeing the popularity of Battle Royales, they were like, hey, Treyarch, fuck your game's life cycle. We want you to do this now. Make Blackout. So Treyarch ignored their game's life cycle, but didn't necessarily completely ignore it, but they had it pretty much all cooked up. They just didn't give us everything they promised us because they didn't have time. They made Blackout for them, and then Activision used Blackout as their foot in the door, and then they had Warzone developed from Blackout. So they didn't even use Blackout was just kind of their stepping stone to Warzone. And now they're riding the BR train, you know, with Warzone. But even then, like that, I don't think is doing as well as it was. I mean, there's people that play it, obviously, but I don't think has that same wave.
Yeah, I think Battle Royale got overdone to a point where it's like, oh, it's another Battle Royale. I won't play it. I already played Fortnite and shit. Because, you know, the first one that came out that was like a thing was PUBG. Then came out Fortnite, then came out
H1Z1 and
Cuisine Royale, like a million other ones, Free Fire.
So many Royales.
Then Warzone. Halo Infinite was going to be a Battle Royale, but it ended up getting...
That's right. That is right.
Yeah, it ended up being a traditional Halo, thank God, because I would have hated that Battle
Royale. That AEW video game.
Oh, yeah.
The
fucking Stadium Stampede mode.
Yeah. And it actually looks interesting, I'm not going to lie. And I'm not
It's shit. It's shit.
I think the whole game...
It's Unreal Engine 4 slop. It's very default project, like the motion blur and like the
that sucks. Was that Ukes? Okay, I didn't know it was a claimer.
And they used assets from 2K18.
Oh my god!
You have like the crowd is actually the same models used in 2K19 and 18. The exact same models, and then WWE 2K22 came out, and you have two games with the same fucking crowd.
They didn't even try to hide it. That's crazy.
But the player models on AW Fight Forever are like super cartoony and shit, trying to be like No Mercy.
Yeah.
And it just feels out
their
of place.
Gameplay is kind of, they want to be like those games, but it's not.
Yeah, it's Kenny Omega's fault.
He's got the right idea, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, like those games were good back in the day for what they were. Versus now, like we're never gonna get those games, but there's certain aspects of those games that could be brought back that would make those these games so much better. Like just the simple fact, like the object collision is so shit anymore. You can't like DDT or suplex somebody onto a steel steps. Like
and that was working in 2K20 2K14.
Yep, they did have it.
And it
they had it working
in
again at one
2K15,
point.
even on the next gen version, so it got removed on purpose on 2K16.
It's weird. It's weird. Like they have like little things like that. I've always enjoyed that. Like now I find because I always like picking up steel steps, throwing them in the ring, trying a cool move on it. Like because that happens in the ring too. And the older games got the collision right. And for some reason, like they just can't in modern technology. I'm not sure why.
They can, and they did, but they removed it for some reason. I guess it was a decision from 2K, or maybe they.
Removed. Did they remove? What was it? I mean, they removed a lot of things. They like cool, like chain wrestling. They could still have that.
Was the last game with chain wrestling was 2K20.
Okay. Yeah, wow, that was a while ago.
When they streamlined the gameplay and stuff.
And they still have like hot tags and stuff, like from I forget which one that was.
But like a skill. Well, they were a skill. Like,
interesting.
It became sort of like a power up, basically.
Like 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 resiliency and shit.
Yeah.
I got you. That's interesting. Yeah. Those are good games. I wish they would grow more.
And I wish they didn't have my faction.
I like my faction. I wish it wasn't so grindy.
I wish it didn't exist. I got free VC from them once.
Same. Recently?
No, I was like in 2K22. I'm gonna say it, dude.
You sign in, you might get.
I'm the bGoat of 2K, dude.
Okay.
I have like a list of like 200 and something bugs from all the games. Man. Every single game that came out, since 2K19.
You know what's funny?
Write a document and send them the PDF. Like, hey, these are the bugs I found.
Yo, were you ever on cause.ws back in the day?
No.
No? You never like fucked with making created wrestlers and stuff?
No. Wasn't there.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. If you ever are in the mood to just like say there's a wrestler or not in the game, like community creations, you know, people make some cool shit.
You mean like creating superstars in 2K games?
Yeah. So we would just call him Paul.
I did it for a
just
while.
Create a wrestler, but
I did it for a while, like proper. I think it was from 2K19 to 2K22.
Nice.
No, to 2K23. Sorry, I was actively making casts.
Yeah. They became fast now with superstars. Yep.
Yeah, the first big one I made was Mick Foley for 2K20. But nice. In 2K19 I also made I think it was Rey Mysterio. It was an alternate version of Rey Mysterio. It was like a mask from. There was a WCW attire. I think I made that one, if I remember correctly. 2K20 I made a.
You talking that purple attire?
Glitch. It was the I think one. It's like the.
Hell yeah.
Black and red, and white. I think it's the color scheme.
His mask is the coolest.
Yeah, and I actually met him. I went to a meet and greet here in Tijuana, and I was there like, "Yo, what's up?" Took a photo and
shit. That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. He's a legend, dude. But yeah, going back to the creative superstars, in 2K20, I made a Mick Foley using the hair glitch to remove the mask. That game was fucking buggy, dude.
Yeah, for good reason though. Made everything so much cooler.
Not the crashes though.
No, not the crashes. The online crashes that still happen really piss me off to this day. But
yeah, it was Yuke's fault. It was Yuke's fault. They left midway through development, and Visual Concepts like, fuck, what do we do?
And they took their animations.
It was proud with them. Yeah, it was very, very Robomoto to me. Like, oh no, this again. Shit. Because actually, Visual Concepts was assisting in development of the games. They were doing like the motion capture and the facial capture and the models and stuff. But they never took the actual engine and coded stuff for it. That was Yuke's sort of like task. So when they left, they were like, "Oh fuck, shit! How do you use this shit?"
Yeah. It's
And Ukes took that code for AEW Fight Forever, and they put it in Unreal Engine 4. Like a certain company, I think they're called Fission something.
sounds vicarious to me.
Yeah. But yeah, 2K20 was really rough, and the DLC sucked ass, except for the Fiend. The Fiend was a good DLC, but the other ones like this, like Southpaw shit.
Wait a minute. Did you say there was a Fiend DLC on
2K20, yeah. It was
okay, I thought you were saying it was on AEW. I was like, what?
Nah, dude.
Tell me they at least have Brody in Fight Pro.
Yeah, they do. They do.
That's cool.
Thankfully, they do. They have Owen Hart too.
Yeah, that's always been weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's always been weird to me.
I mean,
It's cool that Owen's getting out there again, but it's always been weird.
I mean, I'm not gonna blame Martha for hating WWE. I mean, he did pass away on it.
But to kind of, I don't know, to kind of fuck
petty.
his legacy a little bit like that.
It feels petty. Like, just gonna put him on the other company's game.
Like how is it not like honoring him to put him in the Hall of Fame? Like his friends begged for her to put him in the Hall of Fame. His fucking brother begs to, like, come on, put the guy in the Hall. And then she has Koki Khan do it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
makes no sense.
I'm not gonna blame her.
And then she lets Sting come from the rafters anyway. She's like, yeah, that's cool. He can do that. Like, okay.
I mean, the whole situation with Owen's death, it was really stupid. It should have never happened, but
I was like looking into like that shit one day, just like on a deep dive, and like I've like read some documents and shit, like, and it honestly does just all seem like a freak thing. Granted, the situation like was shit, and yeah, Vince was known for fucking punishing people and shit. Now
he wouldn't murder someone.
Yeah, granted, I don't think that was like his ultimate punishment, like, but I think just it was unfortunate for Owen. I mean, obviously, and WWF and shit, because a lot of unfortunate shit happened from out. The ultimate unfortunate thing was losing Owen, but at the same time, like, it just kind of, he was up there at his own free will. You know what I mean? Like, he was in the gimmick. He was a worker, and he was like, okay, I'm the Blue Blazer. I'll make the best of it. And he had
made that entrance before in Sunday Night Heat.
He did, yeah.
So it's shit.
And it worked. It worked flawlessly.
Yeah, they just changed the hook system for one that was easier to release.
For whatever reason,
it opened for accident.
It was
they wanted
negligence, if anything.
From what Vince Russo has said, they wanted him to fall, quote unquote.
Yeah,
so
like
he would go down. Then when he was about to land,
he was supposed to pull something, like a release. Yeah, I think he was supposed to. It was supposed to be like a comical. Yeah, because he was being punished. I forget what for, but it wasn't necessarily anything.
He was because he didn't want to make an angle cheating on his wife. I think that was it, because they wanted him to be like edgy and shit, because it's the Attitude Era, right? They wanted him to have like like a triangle with him and
very
Jeff
well
Jarrett
be, man. You never and Deborah, maybe, yeah. Oh man. And you know what's really funny is like that's Stone Cold's wife too.
Yeah.
Vince was a fucking anarchist, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And he's a rapist too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that man's wild.
Yeah.
Northside boys say it right.
Yeah.
Tell me you watched that video when I send it. Have you watched it before?
Which one?
It's I think it's the Northern hold up. It's Northern Boys Party Time, fucking Vince McMahon. I gotta show you this. But like, oh no, I gotta find the Vince McMahon. Have you ever watched Botchamania?
Yeah.
Alright, so you might have seen this. Fuck, why can't I find it?
Yeah, the whole situation was really bad. But it is what it is, I guess. I mean,
Here we go.
Yeah. What are you saying?
So, hold up. Sorry, it's just one of the greatest things ever. Here you go. Like the way whoever made this, whoever made this. So good.
Damn.
It just goes so hard, man. And it's so in line with everything. They have the clips for every line.
If you wanna make love, get your drugs out. It's party time, get your drugs out. Do you wanna make love to a sad old man? It's party time.
It's a masterpiece. It really is.
It's party time.
Like it's such a masterpiece. He uploaded this as its standalone. Like this was just one of those like ending skit things, you know. And it was so good that he made it like a standalone upload because it's a fucking banger.
Yeah. That dude's really good at editing.
It's party time. Get your drugs out.
But yeah, dude. Going back to the not so serious topic. Yeah, I was doing Create a Superstars. I think I also did Owen.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I did Owen on 2K22.
Now, what was
on 2K22?
Going a little off cuff? What was like the first wrestling game you played?
WWF Raw, the PC version, when it came out in 2002.
That's fucking solid.
I had it on disc.
Yeah,
the CD.
Dude. A solid game.
The one after that was WWF Warzone on the N64. Then Attitude, because my dad had the two games.
Oh man!
And then I actually got to play a good one. WWF WrestleMania 2000.
It's classic.
I fucking love that game, dude.
Classic.
Then I played WWF SmackDown 2, Know Your Role.
Great game. Then
I played No Mercy. Then I got some totally legal copies of the other AKI or AKI?
Like NWOs and
yeah, and the Virtual Pro Wrestling ones.
That's cool. Did you ever check out that Hardcore Revolution ECW game?
Yeah, I actually played both. My dad had them on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that's a solid one.
ECW Hardcore Revolution, Anarchy Rules.
I wish that game and like Warzone and Attitude had a better control system, and they would have been goated.
Yeah, I mean, the engine itself, it's Acclaim. It's the Acclaim engine, but I mean, it's not that bad. It's just the control scheme and the moves being mapped to like fucking combos is not a great idea.
Yeah, the moves were pretty rigid.
Yeah.
But it was there. They were onto something.
Then there's the WCW games. Of course, the N64 games were great. Then there were the Nitro and Thunder.
About them GameCube games. You ever check those out? Like Day of Reckoning and...
Yeah. One of my cousins had it. And he had...
Those games were different.
WWF WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
He had WrestleMania 19. And he also had Day of Reckoning 2.
Hell yeah.
Day of Reckoning 2 is great.
I loved those games because they were like outrageous in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like the follow-up to the Aki games. They do play very similar to the Aki games.
They had a lot of spirit in them.
Yeah. I think if someone were to do an Aki style wrestling, then we should take a look to the GameCube games. That's sort of like where it was going, basically. And like Def Jam Vendetta and stuff.
That's fair. It is Nintendo.
Yeah, and Def Jam Vendetta was made by Aki, so it's like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, Def Jam was pretty decent. You ever play like Backyard Wrestling and shit too?
No, I didn't play those, but I have seen gameplay of those.
Yeah, those are wild.
Yeah. Also played the Fire Pro Wrestling games.
Okay.
Played one on the Game Boy Advance and the most recent one, FP.
Here's a question for you. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I don't even know what the timeline of my life this is, but have you ever heard of Endorphin?
Yeah. I actually did a
Have you
few
ever-
animations with Endorphin.
Yeah, that's so awesome, dude. I fucked with Endorphin way back in the day, and I made like wrestling animations and shit in there.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
made one.
That's
I
awesome.
think it was a swanton bomb
Sick. Hell yeah.
from a building. And oh man, that physics engine is wild.
All right, here's another one for. Have you ever messed with Mugen?
Yes, I actually made a game with Mugen.
Me too, dude. Fuck yeah. That's
I
sick.
never understood how the characters worked. I had a
Nah.
really rough time trying to code them.
Yeah, I was
was a
like
kid, I
importing
didn't know how to
shit
code,
that people
so-
were making.
Yeah, there was the the whole
What kind of game were you making?
sort of like a Street Fighter game.
Okay. Did you ever play Killer Instinct?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I actually
I
had
was.
the Killer Instinct remake or reboot. Is it a remake? Or a
Oh
reboot?
man, I think it was a little bit of both. I never played that, but I wanted to check it out because I played the original so good.
Yeah. One of my
But
dads
that's
bought me
that's
mine.
what I was making in Mugen. I was making
Oh.
MK versus KI,
Hell yeah, dude.
and it was fucking. I was just like grabbing different like pre-made shit from people and like mashed. Like I had I had Dark Raiden in there and Light Raiden. I had all kinds of shit, man, and I had like things were working like Shang Tsung could soul steal like a KI character and shit. It was sick. Don't know how it was working, but I was like making it work.
Yeah, recently I actually went back and saw like how the chairs and everything work. It's actually very similar to what we do in the THPS games. I just didn't know how to do it. You like set up an array with different stuff. So it's like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Notepad, huh?
Yeah, it is Notepad.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
crazy.
Notepad
I'm
heaven.
a fucking Notepad pro now.
Yeah, dude. And I actually was making my own wrestling game. I posted a few
Really?
screenshots on the wrestling channel. And
Oh,
I
yeah, I
was
think-
making that from scratch.
I think I've seen that before.
Here, I found the clip, dude. This is the last advancement I made on my game. And all the animations you see there are mocapped. I actually went
Wait,
and
how did you
mocap-
move that?
using the Rococo app. You can do motion capture with your phone. So I was
That's
doing
crazy.
mocap for the idle pose and like the running. Also had a test animation for Jeff Hardy's entrance.
Oh, shit.
So I actually did the juke and stuff. Entrances were going to be dynamic like the MDK games. You ever play the MDK games? Like Wrestling Empire, Revolution and stuff?
Nah, I never actually got to check those out. I think I seen them though.
Yeah, they're really whack.
I mean, hey, there's a lot of different wrestling games and shit out there.
Yeah. But you can see how like shadows and stuff. It was really cool that I managed to do that, but I never really ended up finishing that game.
What were you doing that in?
I think it was Collecting Fusion.
Okay, I have no idea what the hell that is.
It's the same engine used in like Five Nights at Freddy's and also I think in the Escape. Have you ever played The Escapists?
I don't think so.
It's like a game where you escape from prison. It's a weird engine. It's a weird engine. That's what I'm using Unreal Engine 5 now for a secret project. A secret project no one knows about.
Right there.
It's gonna be good.
Gonna be great.
Yeah. In 2K23. Going back to the Creative Superstars, the big one I made was Mikey Whipwreck.
Oh, nice.
And Mikey actually played with that superstar. He downloaded it.
No shit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. I remember going back in the day when they were called Creator. I'm so used to calling them like calls and shit, but there's a website calls.ws or whatever, and I would go on there and like get formulas all day, just fucking print them out.
Call formula. I can't speak. The call formulas. I actually followed a lot of them because I had
Yeah.
SmackDown versus Raw 2010 on my DS.
Hell yeah.
So like I want to have The Rock and Stone Cold.
That is
So I would go on like YouTube and call formula WWE SmackDown versus Raw DS.
It's cool that they have like the library too now on like the content creation. You can like favorite certain creators and shit on there. I definitely do that with certain people because they make some cool stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to what's the status? He got banned twice, but he finally got unbanned.
That dude's weird though.
Is he? Fuck.
I don't know. I just think he's kind of weird in a sense of he wants to. I don't know him like as a person. I don't think he's weird like that. I just think he's weird like the way he presents himself sometimes because he makes content for him. So obviously he should be some sort of like token community dude for 2K or whatever in terms of that. And they should at least like value things he says. But it's weird when he was like kind of coming at him. But it was also weird for them to go and do shit too, because like they were removing stuff. But you have to understand too at the same time. I guess he was like taking shit out of my faction. I think I honestly hate the fact that things were locked in my faction to begin with. A lot of people don't like my faction. I like my faction, but I don't think shit should be locked in it. That's like we can have my faction, but don't lock shit in it.
You should.
And I think
I think they were gonna do a thing where if you unlock them, the skins and
that
stuff,
you have them in. Yeah. But they didn't have that originally, if I remember correctly. They were just gonna be
or 2K23.
Yeah, they had to be like modded over into create a superstar and then like download it or something. But like that I get it. I want to play with more superstars too and shit. But then it was weird for him to kind of be like because he knows he modded their game. So at the same time when they banned him, like he's tampering with their game, and then he goes and he's like, I wasn't doing that. I'm like, yeah, you were. You know, they have EULAs and shit. And
Yeah.
We scroll past it all day, but still, they have the right to do that, you know.
Yeah,
and
we need lawyers to read the EULAs for us.
honestly, if he would have went about it differently, I'm sure he could have still lobbied for the change in like a more productive manner rather than kind of like brute forcing it, and it could have been more productive in the end. But who knows? I mean, either way, we got to a solution, I guess, where like now you have my faction characters kind of shared between the two, like the game itself and the mode. So that's nice. But yeah, it was weird. I don't know. I didn't like some of the stances because I was like, damn, like you're in that position where you could do something with this, but you got to be a little more gentle with it, I feel like.
Yeah. At least he didn't get a CND.
Yeah, because they very much could have. They reserve the right to. Like, it happens. I know. I know.
Yeah, let's talk about the cease and desist letter from 1+2.
Yeah. Yeah, so the warehouse demo dropped. And well, all right, let's go back a little bit here. So I'm modding THPS, right? Like for the sake of having fun with THPS, trying to keep THPS alive, enjoying THPS just generally.
Yeah.
And then we hear that 1+2 is coming out. Obviously, I'm sitting there anxious. Like, this is like during COVID and shit. There's really nothing else to do anyway. So I'm sitting there staring at my screen and I'm watching the announcement for 1+2. Obviously, everybody is super fucking stoked. I don't care how the game looks or feels. It's a Tony Hawk game. I'm getting it. And I'll tell you what I think, like, at the very least. So I was very much like, I'm buying this. Anyway, flash forward, warehouse demo. I already have this game pre-ordered. I pre-ordered the game for the fullest edition I could. I want that deck. You know what I mean? Take my money.
Yeah.
I think I did it for both the physical edition for the PlayStation and I also did it digitally for the PC, with the intention of one day I'm going to look into these files because there's assets in there, okay? Now, I very much get that their asset library is their asset library. They own the assets. However, I can still go in there and make the assets my own at the very least. So, if there's ever another CND with my name on it, whatever, we can talk. Either way, it's going to happen. So, when we get to this now here, warehouse demo drops, and automatically I open it up because it's Unreal Engine. I've opened up assets for HD and Pro Skater 5. It's kind of the same process. All you really need is this little program called U-Extractor. There's a couple different ones that'll do it. Either way, go in there, and it's so there's a thing that if you're not technically inclined or familiar with this process, you can encrypt your files with what's called an AES security key, where you can make it not necessarily impossible, but almost near impossible without some effort to have access to these files. Mind you, they did not encrypt their fucking demo. So their files were easily accessible right there for me to look out. Mind you, they did not strip it of anything that was not in the game. So they stripped out, or they didn't put in certain levels. Like there's folders in there that are accessible, but like the files might not all be in there. However, a lot of UI files were in there, so like you could see that Jack Black was going to be Officer Dick. You could see certain secret characters and whatnot, just various things. You could see level screenshots that weren't released for Skate Heaven and whatnot. So it was like, oh shit, I want to show this off. So immediately I turn on my Twitch stream and I'm showing it off and having a jolly good time. And I think I know I like shared a lot of it on Discord too, but I think that initial stream and the sharing of it on Discord kind of blew up, and then people were like opening up the pack and the demo and figuring out that like you could still use the Unreal like commands in the demo. So people were doing commands to like bring in like you were only supposed to skate a 2 minute. It was supposed to be a warehouse demo, like the Pizza Hut demo, where you skate warehouse for like 2 minutes or so, and that's about it.
Yes.
But we were able to like launch it in classic mode, so you could play the goals in warehouse. There was a bunch of different shit you could do with the command, and there was even being custom level development and content for the demo. So anyway, a little bit after the stream and stuff was kind of being looked at, a couple outlets were posting about the findings from various people. There was a YouTuber named that took a lot of the content directly from the Discord blatantly and
Hey guys,
threw it around and
Hawk's Pro Skater.
clickbaited it all the hell, and
We see here in the screenshot, guys, that Officer Dick is going to be played by Jack Black.
that kid never got a cease and desist either, by the way.
Yo, what is up? It's your boy AK, and today we got some new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake gameplay. And over here, I have some screenshots of some images that I found on the internet that I got. So in this image, guys, you can see that you can skateboard as Steve Caballero and wear the jacket that he does in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, the original, guys. And over here, guys, we have some exclusive images on levels that haven't been shown in gameplay yet, guys. So over here, we have Roswell. This level was in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And this level was the first competition that you do is you can see that there are red lights on the rails, which look really, really cool, guys. And over here, guys, we have Skater Hedan, which was one of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 levels. Now, in this level, you get the Chin of Animals ramp, and you also get some bowls. This level was the first level set underwater, guys. Now that's all I really have to show for today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, guys, and enter my free giveaway for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake, on toaster oven or on a microwave. Your choice, guys.
And all he did was repost everything I got a cease and desist for, so you tell me what the fuck's going on here. Anyway, so around that time then, my buddy hits me up and he asked if it was like cool if he shared some of my findings on Reddit or something, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. So he shares it on Reddit, and it started to gain a little bit more traction. And then I got hit up on Twitter. I'm not sure. I forget if the dude even said like what the publication was or who he was representing for the publication. I forget, but he was wanting to do an article about the shit I found, and he was interested, but he had to get back to me because he wanted to. He was asking me what all I found. I told him essentially that it was all found with data mining, and since I said the word, like, I don't think I said the word data mining, but just kind of telling him that was my process and what I was finding, he's like, maybe let me, get an okay from this. And then like he got back to me and said like, yeah, we can't cover that. And I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I didn't care for it to be covered, but like, that's cool. But eventually I got a DMCA for that stream. And then I got a copyright notice on thpsgoat.com, which is I got a copyright notice because I was hosting I think some of the images on there. Maybe I think it was like some of the character models. I think I put together like a animated image of all the models cycling through, and I hosted it on the website to show people, and fucking copyright strike that. And then I got a email cease and desist from Activision, and from a representative of Activision, but through Activision, cease and desist through the email. So immediately, obviously, Activision, they have money. I don't really. So I was like, yeah, let me remove some of that quick for you. No problem. So I, remove everything kind of off I had to lock down the mod channel for THPS 1+2 and THPS GOAT, just because I didn't want that to inadvertently put me in some shit because of other people's doings. But I didn't also, it kind of sucked because I told people like I want to do this, but I can't, because people were like, oh, why you gotta lock that? I'm like, because I can hit with a C and D, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. You do your thing, just I can't have it here with me right now, But anyway, I was like, I complied immediately. I got that on a Friday, and then the weekend was good. I got an email back, like they were down with me working with them. They thanked me. I'm like, yep, no problem. Like, that's cool. And then Monday, I had a physical FedEx copy of the C&D, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, like, they're not fucking around. That's cool. I get it. Essentially, the cease and desist was for, I believe, it was just like infringement of their intellectual properties and something about hurting their marketing campaigns, and it wasn't in line with their marketing, which, like, mind you, this was kind of, it wasn't like when the game dropped or anything, because this is the demo. This is around the demo time, but the game has been announced and known for a while before the demo dropped. So in between that time and the demo dropping, they really didn't share much, and they didn't even really share any like press screenshots of like Skate Heaven, I don't think, and they didn't really cover like Create a Park that much, I don't think, but like our leaks did, and a lot of people in the community were very on the fence about certain things because of THPS like HD and 5, and when we showed them screenshots of shit and like we were leaking shit, they were like, oh yeah, I'm definitely buying this. But then I'm getting a cease and desist saying I'm hurting their marketing, and I'm the fuck. All right, yeah, it's weird.
You're the reason the game sold that well.
I can't say that. I mean, it's a THPS game. The name itself will sell it, but I know for a fact that there were people that were very much on the fence, and it's like those leaks that myself and others provided at least lit the spark for them to be like, yeah, I guess I'll get that game and check it out. Because a lot of people didn't want to check it out, I tell you, because of HD and 5. HD and 5, they didn't want. Now, some people seen Vicarious, some people seen a certain name attached to it too, which that name has no merit anyway, but they seen the name and like, either way, it's a good looking game, and those leaks showed that at the very least, and you can't take that away from the game. So
yeah, except the small details. Those are the important ones. That's why they give that out for like after like 2 months.
It is not a THPS game. And I say that I'll get like a lot of hate for it, but I'll say that about HD and 5 as well. I'll say it about Ride and Shred. I mean, if you want me to say it about Downhill Jam, I could say it about Downhill Jam, but I do still consider Downhill Jam a Tony Hawk game just because the original code is still there. I mean, like 1 plus 2, they referenced things, but like it's not the NX engine. It's just not.
It's like well, it's not a Frankenstein. They just ripped code from THPS 4 and put it on Unreal Engine 4. Let's see what happens.
And like it's very much and like even then it's undertones to me more so of the Ribomoto Foundation. Like rights. I still feel when I play that game, I still feel everything I felt in HD and 5. I just think it's more refined, and that's okay. It's not a bad game. It's just not, in my opinion, a true Tony Hawk game, which I don't think there will ever be a true Tony Hawk game unless it's on the NX engine or it's done in a way that actually feels like a TH game. And I'm not like saying 1 plus 2 does not absolutely feel like a TH game at all, because it does, but it's not there. It's just not quite there. The formula's not there, and I honestly think it could be the engine. I could be wrong. If you can make a 1-in-1 in Unreal, prove me wrong, please. But you need time. You need time and effort at least, and if Activision can give that to somebody, that would be great. But that would imply that they give an ounce of a fuck about the community. So it's like it's hard to say because I haven't seen it. All I see is them caring about like milking the name, and that's all it's been since Ride, honestly.
Yeah, for everything, not for the most part, for everything.
And that's not like I don't want to like shit on the development teams saying that, because I've seen there's effort that goes into these games, and there's time into them, and they want the game good. They want to make the best game they can, but they're only as good as they're allowed to be, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. So it's complicated.
It's definitely an uphill battle. That's why we have the pleasure of not working under a fist. We can just kind of go at our own pace and do as we please and cook up some cool shit and not have to worry about, oh, you got a deadline. Oh, you can't have this in there. Like, there's too many too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes when they're not even a chef. Yeah, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's suits.
They're not. They're
Suits
they
and
don't-
ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, suits and ties. Pen pushers, man, pen pushers.
Bureaucrats and businessmen.
Society.
Yeah. But on that note, THPS GOAT, how did it come about?
Oh man. Well, in the lapse of like the TH hype, I guess you could say it was like 2016 or 17, which would probably be pretty accurate because that's like I think 5 maybe came out in what, like 15 or something.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Came out.
So yeah, it would be like 16, 17. 5 was 5. We got what we got, but I was kind of poking around. I've always been like, I was at this point, I've been glitching the games. I kind of understand like pretty well cause and effect of glitching in the games. But I've never actually kind of looked at the code before or anything like that. I've started tinkering with text mods, and once I started tinkering with text mods, I was like, oh, that's cool, you can mod the game. Now, my first ever game I modded was GTA San Andreas, and it was very much like a text mod type deal as well, but I've always been fascinated with gaming and how things work, so it went hand in hand. This is Tony Hawk, let's dig into it. I think, actually, way back in the day, probably a little after Thaw or around Thaw, I was actually SketchUp, like making conceptualizing like 3D BGOAT game levels because I had some teenage cracked idea that we were going to make a BGOAT game, and I had these I wish I had them today because I could actually put them in Tony Hawk. It would be crazy. Younger me would shit my pants. But yeah, I don't have those. Lost to time, unfortunately. But I've been messing around with that stuff since way back when. And then when the ASDF plugin dropped, that was a game changer because then it was actual, like, you can make custom content in Tony Hawk. This is crazy. So I definitely wanted to learn, and learning I did. Started learning Blender, how to navigate and whatnot. Then from there, it's like, okay, I know how to navigate. How do I make shit? Started learning how to model in Blender. And then once I learned how to model, okay, now I want to know, how do I make this grindable? How do I make this, like, how do I do my interactions now? How do I set up a level for them? Learning the collision, different. And then, like, from there, it was like, I feel like every time I fire up my computer, I want to challenge myself to do something new or learn something new within the presentation of something I'm putting out. So, like, back in the day, one of the first levels I worked on, I'm trying to think of what it was. I can't even recall. It's definitely one of, like, the THPS 1, THPS 2 levels, but, like, I immediately wanted to get into scripting shit and putting in certain, like, gaps, especially. Like, I want gaps. I want original gaps in here if we're porting this. Like, I want things to function how they originally did to the best that I can make it. So I was, like, very much just trying to figure things out. And THPS GOAT spawned because in a certain other community, there wasn't very much, like, love or open source for THPS modding, and I always say it's pointless to, like, overturn a stone when it's already been overturned. You're just wasting time. Just progress. And very much, like, I found myself in positions where I'm fucking banging my nose into the wall trying to figure something out that's, like, I can have an easy answer to, be on to the next thing. And it was very frustrating to me, and, like, there was times where I was told that shit I was doing wasn't, like, wasn't being done right. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm doing the same the same development process as maybe the actual developers and these guys doing this mod. Like, what is so wrong about what I'm doing? You know, it works. Like, okay, just haters. But
Yeah.
I decided to kind of say fuck that place, and eventually made THPS GOAT. It spawned actually just because there was a collective of us that were really into putting together some maps and trying to learn the process of modding the game. And there's like different facets of it too. Like we had a couple people that were mainly interested in doing character rigs, and then mainly people that were interested in doing levels. Mainly people that are like just trying to look into the scripts and like tinker with how the game works, and that's cool too. Like there's all sorts of different ways you can mod the game, even if you don't want to change the game and just kind of revamp the look. Like you can do that. You can just revamp the UI and a bunch of different strokes for different folks, and that's the beauty of modding. And why not be an open source like style modding community where we're not, you know, trying to constantly bang our heads against the wall when the answer's there, and we could just keep progressing and keep giving the community the THPS love that it deserves, because you're not really going to get it elsewhere. I mean, Activision, if they give you it, that'd be awesome, because they'll give it to me as well, and I'm a TH fan, so I'm all for it. But at the very least, this is something I've always dreamt of, is a big collective and kind of greatest hits and best of all in one, if you will. So that's kind of been my like focus on things, and then like also just trying new things and bringing back things that maybe got lost over time. Like Create a Deck was something huge for Rethought. That was like, we can do that, let's do it. So like, haven't really seen that since Underground, and even like you've seen the kind of half-assed versions of it with your creative graphic on the deck and whatnot. But yeah, there's just little things like that, and just constantly being fascinated by the game and the engine.
Yeah.
I just the Neversoft team themselves, it was just it seemed like such a cool atmosphere, and I guarantee you there's never going to be another development studio like it, because they worked hard, they play hard.
Partied hard.
They fucking partied hard, man.
Yeah. And of course, from THPS GOAT, there goes 10K Rising. The team.
Oh yeah.
The boys.
Oh yeah.
How did that happen? Like, how did you join? Like,
Oh man.
you thought-
So I've known Zed for quite some time. Like, I think back in when I was doing like text mods, because I think Zed actually sent me over some pretty cool text mods back in the day too. Like high definition like cast tattoos and shit that I think he retraced and such, and they looked really good. And I think I still have them. But anyway, Uzi I've known for a while. He was in THPS GOAT and some other like TH communities and such. So I've spoke with him before, and he's always been down for like modding the game and whatnot. I think I forget when it was, but I know at one point he had the idea to mod American Wasteland, and like, yeah, fuck yeah, I have the idea to mod American Wasteland too. American Wasteland's always been like one of my favorite titles, so as soon as like it was applicable to do so, I wanted to drop everything and mod American Wasteland, because it is one of my favorites, and it makes sense too, because like I'm sitting there modding Underground 2. It's an older engine. I could be modding American Wasteland, which is it's not a much more advanced engine, but it is at the same time, because it's an advancement of that previous engine. So it's like, why not advance what I can do, you know? But either way, I think I joined like World Tour Definitive Edition Discord, and I was kind of chilling in there, and they had like a TH modding section, which was kind of more where I was finding myself. But at certain times, like I would kind of show off some of the things I had. A lot of people in the community like the Neversoft Guitar Hero faceplate I have, so I like showing it off to them when I can. But mainly I was in the TH section of it, and a lot of the strides, like a lot of the first footsteps, if you will, for Rethought happened in there. I think a lot of the like fruits of NX tools happen there as well. Yeah. So I think that's like where the model, like, because I think that's the very first thing that was looked at was character models, and from there it was like, okay, how about levels, and then yeah, it and now it's like animations, and I love it.
Yeah, Zedek is very smart.
Zedek is king.
Yeah, he has his brain so vast in knowledge.
Yeah, I would like everybody to know that like a fraction of this would be possible without Zed, and then a good majority of it would not be possible without Zed.
No custom
because
levels,
there's
no custom skaters,
no
creative deck,
no anything essentially.
No menu system. A lot
everything.
Of crashes. No custom levels.
Now
no mod support.
No mod depot. Like this is this is all factual. Like I always tell people I'm a glorified asset guy, and like when I say like I started with like tinkering with levels, like I still just tinker with levels, honestly. And like scripting, I just kind of get more of an understanding of things, but like like I said, I get on, I challenge myself with certain things, and when I port levels, I want to be 1-in-1 with how they were, but I also like adding little additional things. With that being said, there's already been like Easter eggs found that I've put in some of the ported maps, and they may be visual right now, but there's gonna be some stuff, and like if you can find it, that's cool. If you can find it, I'll reward you. If you want a hint, just ask me. Maybe I'm definitely not gonna give it to you. And if you ever get it, like I said, that's awesome. But yeah, if you keep an eye out on some things might just reveal themselves. But at the end of the day, it's there's a lot you can do with these games, and just the fact that the game is so versatile, it doesn't necessarily restrict you to playing a skateboarding game. It's weird to say, but it's the truth, because Thaw, right? Even Thaw's itself, you're walking on foot. You have the option to drop your board and completely just walk on foot without a board, which is a completely different state from walking with a board. You have your BMX, and then you have your onboard state. So like there's already multiple ways to play the base game, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
a lot can be done,
and it is being done at the moment. That'll be great. It's gonna be
What's that?
It's gotta be great, dude. There's a lot of things being done.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be great. There's a lot of things being done at the moment, as we speak. But yeah, if you want to know what Rethought would have been without Zedek, just look at Rethought 3.2.
So you just play Thaw.
Yeah. Or look at Project 8 Plus. Just that's basically the same, but for Project 8. It's just me doing script mods.
Yeah. Honestly, that's where a lot of it would be too without the likes of ASDF and Zed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thug Pro team as well. Like they've made things, and I mean, there's been various names in the community as well that have played a big part in things. Rest in peace, Chase. Fucking Chase was the man.
Yeah. But going to another thing, you were actually going to be the THPS podcast, right?
Oh yeah. There's a podcast for THPS. So, yeah. So, oh man, this is I don't know if I have this one in my core memory. I'm gonna feel like such an asshole because I forget who the original host was. I had it in line with the original creator of the THPS podcast to be on one of an episode. One of the they were already kind of on their way out the door doing the podcast. They did a couple episodes and then they kind of I guess maybe were too busy for it, whatever. But they were gonna hand over the ownership, I guess, to THPSX, Dode Man, whatever. I'm not sure how that happened, what the exchange was exactly, or if it was like directly given to Dode or not, whatever. But either way, it was in Dode's hands then. So my podcast was discussed directly with the original creator, and we were gonna do it, but then the transfer happened. I get like the shit happened. Then they started doing the podcasts, and then when I inquired about my episode, like, hey, I was gonna be on it, and that'd be cool to be on it because I'd like to talk, you know. And I was just kind of like shown the door in the weirdest way, because it was like I don't know, like I don't look at, like you said, like a veteran in the community. I don't necessarily look at myself like that, but I've been around, and like I don't know, I try to at the very least put out the best stuff when I can and try to be transparent with the community, I guess you could say. Like I don't know, I try to have everybody get along at the very least, and yeah, just make sure everybody loves THPS and has a good time. But like I don't know, there's a certain few people that I don't get along with, and for some reason it affected the podcast like appearance, and like in layman's terms it was like, oh, my friends don't like you, you can't be on the podcast, sorry. And I'm like, huh, like that's weird. Like it was just kind of the weirdest fuck you I've ever gotten. This is so strange. But yeah, I don't know. So one of my arguments, which I don't even think like I thought of the idea because I don't pay that much attention to like certain aspects of the community, I guess you could say, but like there was a certain person that they had on their podcast that's like a known shit stirrer in like many ways, and this was like prior to my inquirement, and so that was like one thing that was brought up by like a third party. So I was like, yeah, that's a good argument, I'll bring it up. So I brought it up, and it was like there was no like defense to it. It was still just kind of like, well, it would be controversial. How would it be controversial for me to just talk about like modding THPS? I don't see how that would be very controversial. Like, sounds like you want to make it controversial. I don't know.
Yeah. Do we say the name of that dude?
Oh yeah, Dude Man. It was very weird.
No. The fucking shithead.
Which the person that was on the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I guess it was Buck. I guess Buck, like from what I'm told, like again, this was third party. Like I don't know Buck like that, but from what I'm told, is Buck's a very controversial person, and like I mean that in a way where I guess Buck is one of those people that don't give a fuck what you think, or don't give a buck if you want to be funny and old, but like he's just one of those people that'll say what he thinks and he'll just say off the wall shit and not care, and they thought it was cool to give him an open platform. So, I don't know. It was a weird parallel to me. I just, like, we're going to give this guy a hot mic. So that's cool.
But we won't do this here. No, sir. Here...
I feel like, that's the other thing, too, is, like, I don't know. There were certain people that I feel like I should have been in a spotlight of sorts that didn't get it just because of that fact as well, that maybe they had an association with myself or the community that I've garnished or whatever, or garnered or whatever. And like I don't know, it seemed like they kind of picked and chose a lot of their guests from the community, but they like overshadowed a lot of deserving names, and like luckily those names are very much so like attached to the Rethought project, and luckily their work is finally being appreciated. Makes sense, because I mean a lot of people, another reason it's like a breath of fresh air to work on Rethought is because when we're doing mods for say Thug Pro, it is a third-party mod to a third-party mod, and it makes no sense. And like, it's not necessarily a dig on Thug Pro, but like we've given them content and like on a platter, and if it doesn't get incorporated for whatever reason, it's just like, okay, that's fine. It's your mod. That's cool. But I'm gonna go over here where my work will be appreciated, and you don't have to third party my work to a third party. It just makes more sense to streamline my work to have people enjoy it. And I don't know, it's like it cuts out an unnecessary step. I mean, we do now have the ability to have people be like a third party to our third party, but like it's all in jest at the same time. Like people make cool shit, and if it's applicable, it could get added officially. I mean, we've had stuff sent over that we are willing to throw in there. We have not like it's definitely not a favoritism thing when it comes to us or anything.
Yeah, and we are already incorporating some mod stuff. Like, I can say that next update we're including Spider-Man from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, which at the moment is a mod that you can download on the mod repo. So
yeah. Oh yeah, there's been a bunch of useful assets pulled from community members that have been like thrown our way that are definitely at the very least considered, and like if they're not at the very least considered, they move past the consideration stage to like, oh yeah, we'll put that in.
Yeah.
It's pretty definitive. If it's a TH asset or like something Neversoft related, there's a good chance that we'll get it in there.
Yeah. And of course, if it's in proper condition, like properly rigged and proper materials and stuff. And
yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Even if you can't get it to that step, if it's something that saves me time, like even if it's just the file and you want to throw it my way, cool, I'm down. I may already have it and I'll tell you, but I'll appreciate it if anything.
Yeah. So it's like, well, the modding community for a modding community helps make the mod better.
Yeah, exactly.
It should, at least.
We have to fill each other's water bowl so that we're never
Yeah.
That's right. Not a dry mouth in this community, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We gotta make it rain.
Flowing. Yeah. So last topic before we go into like bonus questions, skateboarding, dude.
Oh man.
Well, not professional skateboarding, but almost professional skateboarding. Like, we're doing like a video. You almost went to the X Games and stuff. So let's go through it.
Yeah. To be fair, at this point, I'm arrogant enough to say that like that I was pro. I was just never given the pro fucking suffix or prefix. It's like I've rubbed elbows with some fucking legendary people. So all right. Back to day one. We talked about it earlier. I was born with one leg, so the way I skate is kind of like in a crouched position. If you've ever seen the trick of boneless, it's pretty much me skating like in a boneless initiation stance, like animation. I'm boneless and knitting the whole time. Okay.
You're doing an indie grab on the ground.
Yeah, and then I go into the boneless range, and then from there I do anim blends with my tricks, and I do like 360 flips with my hands, like. But all of my tricks they stem from that boneless. The boneless is essentially my ollie. Now I can do variations of an ollie. One of them looks like I'm twerking, so I don't do it very often because it's like it's just weird. But I can do it. Like it's like a bunny hop, but like I pop the tail, So it's a legit ollie. I can nollie like that as well, but they feel awkward to me. So I've always kind of kept with the boneless to initialize tricks and such. But
you do have the right to say you're boneless.
It's very ironic that was the trick name, But yeah, I think it was oh man, I don't even know. Around like TH3 and stuff, like skating with friends and whatnot. Like I started just rolling around on a board just because everybody else wanted to do it and wanted to hang out with my brother, hang out with his friend. So I'd get on a board and just kind of, if anything, like I'd ride it to a spot with them, and then like I'd sit there and like still kind of just ride around, but like mainly sit there and ride around, sit there, and like maybe occasionally like I don't know if I'd attempt a trick or something, but I wouldn't be successful. I just kind of like would throw the board and be like, hee, I tried, and I don't know, like I didn't know how to skate, like, with the way I was built. And I was like, how do I do this? So I just kind of kept at it. And, like, I wanted to do tricks. Everybody else is doing tricks. Everybody else is progressing. Like, so I just kind of had to figure out the keyword is always adapt. But, like, yeah, I had to figure out how to adapt with what I had. And just all started with the boneless. And, there was a point in time where a buddy I went to school with, his mom was a nurse, and she worked with this lady whose husband was just in not just in, but he was fairly recently in like a construction accident where this beam fell down, came end over end, and like crushed his foot up to his ankle essentially. So he is a bony amputee, but he was a skater back in the day, and he is skating again with his leg, and he wants to get together. He wants to meet me essentially, and he wants to put something together. I wasn't aware that he wanted to put something together, I don't think, but like I knew he wanted to meet me, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's cool. So I ended up meeting up with him, and that was actually Gary Moore. Started Amped Riders. I met him, and he pitched Amped Riders to me, which like he kind of was already had the gears turning. It was a non-profit organization for those with them difference. We would just kind of go out there and put on demos and show people like, yeah, we still rip and shit, and we can do it. We just do it with a prosthetic or we do it our own way, you know, but also to help people that if they had an accident or if they were born a certain way, to show them that they could still, like, there's prospects for them. And that was always one of like the coolest things I always enjoyed about it, was like doing the clinics and shit and kind of helping the kids out and kind of getting them to, like, I don't know, just get involved with certain things. Like we had kids on skateboards and shit like all the time. It was sick. But yeah, I had a lot of kids skating like I skated too, because like a prosthetic is not a comfortable thing. And a lot of people, there's a lot of skaters out there that will wear like a prosthetic if they have like an amputation or something, but like very rarely will you see somebody doing something without their prosthetic, I guess you could say. Like you'll see bike riders with a prosthetic, you know, runners with prosthetics. You don't really see them using it without, because they're adapting with that. But like to adapt without it is how I am more comfortable with it, because I have more to make up for, so it's more foreign to me. And there's a lot of cases like that where like I still have somewhat of a limb that I can use, and there's a kid I met where like his amputation's like almost all the way up to his like to his hip, so he barely has anything there. So it's like it would be much easier for him to skate, you know, sitting like without a huge pole. Like the prosthetic he had did not have a knee, it was just like he had like a pole, and I'm like, you need to have something to bend or you're really gonna get hurt. Like just take that thing off, dude. Like we're gonna do this without that, you know? Like
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I met up with him, and he pitched Stamped Riders to me, and we were doing demos and doing clinics and such for kids, and did a couple competitions. There was it was called the Extremity Games. It was kind of like it was like an X Games, Gravity Games type deal for those with limb loss and limb difference. It covered a bunch of different facets of adaptive sports, like motocross and BMX and like rock climbing, even all sorts of stuff, including skateboarding. I obviously did the skateboarding aspect of things. First one I actually wasn't going to compete in because I was so nervous. And it was like I'm very much like, I grew up in a little small town, and it's like, there's really nothing here. There's no skate park or anything. So we always had to skate the street. Like I could never really get a ride to the skate park. So it was mainly street for me. And when I got there, they didn't have a street like set up. It was just a little half pipe. And like I don't really skate transition, so I didn't want to like shit on myself. So I was just like, nah, it's cool. And then they finally talked me into it. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I did a couple runs, and like, cause I could flip tricks on the transition. It did not. I looked very awkward doing it. I have the footage. But yeah, like it's my infancy vert skating, if you will. I was never too comfortable in vert, but like as I get older, I appreciate it more because it's less harsh on the body. But yeah, like I did that, and I think I got fourth. But then I went back the next year. I think I went to third that year, and then the third year I jumped from third to first, and then after that time, I had my daughter on 2012, and then the X Games reached out. Actually, I don't know if it was necessarily the X Games. I think it might have been through Adaptive first. There's a dude named Daniel Gale, and he like runs a lot of the programs now for like the X Games and shit. But when he was first getting his foot in the door, so he was with Adaptive Action Sports, and I rode with them for a bit too with Amped Riders. And I think he was trying to facilitate getting me out to the X Games, and I just pretty much told him like, yeah, I can't, like I just have my kid. So I wanted, like my obligations were at home. So wanted to, if anything, I'm like, you know, maybe another time. Well, they hit me up like the very next year, and I'm like, yeah, it's like still very much a dad here. Like maybe get at me another time. And I like just kind of fell out of. I skated here and there, but I kind of fell out of skating for the most part. Like doing things, like any events or really anything really. And recently, it wasn't last year. I think it was the year before 2020. Like the end of 2023, I did go to an event called Front Fest in Connecticut, and Oscar Loretto, if you know Oscar Loretto, he is one of the more popular and known like adaptive skaters. He was there, he's a good buddy of mine. Yeah, he was there. Anthony Ferraro, I hope I didn't butcher his last name. He was there. He's awesome too. One love. Yeah, a lot of cool people there. Brian, Robin. Oh man, Anthony. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name. I will butcher that. I'm sorry, buddy. But a lot of awesome people. A lot of new faces I met there too. But so cool. I ended up and I went there and I ended up getting. I think it was best trick I ended up getting, which was sick because I have not skated anything like in so long, like, and I was so nervous, but I went out there and I had my Neversoft shirt on and I wanted to throw down some bangers, and it looks like I did, so that was good.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I've been to Woodward, I think like 2004 when I was first starting out with like amped riders and such. That was like one of the first things we did was kind of get to check out Woodward. And there's a dude named Malcolm Watson. And he skates, I don't know if he still skates for Lakai, but at that time he skated for Lakai. And like I very uncultured and ignorant. I had no clue who he was, but here I am skating a bowl, okay? And I'm not a vert skater, but I wanted to skate this bowl because it was a very mellow. I don't even know if it's still there, but if it is, you may know what I'm talking. Been to Woodward around that time, you know what I'm talking about. There's a very mellow bowl there. I wanted to skate it. Nobody was really there too, so it was like perfect for me to kind of learn. And my other buddy that was there, Justin, and we were both kind of getting in there, and then Malcolm Watson was there. Mind you, I have no idea who he is, but he's there. He drops in. He does a couple mellow runs, right? Like, he's fucking good, you know? He's got style. He's doing some cool tricks that, like, are technical, but he's just flowing with it, making them look easy. So I complimented him, like, hey, you're pretty good, you know? And like, I had no idea who this dude is, like, because he complimented me, if I remember correctly, and I was like, thanks, dude, like, you're good, too. Like, and like, so at the end of the day then, I'm heading back to my cabin. If you ever stayed at Woodward, you'll know there's like a curfew that you have to be back at your cabin at least. So I'm heading back to my cabin, and everybody's like outside their cabin, like there's like some sort of event going on. Like that doesn't happen at this time of day. Everybody's supposed to be in their cabin, so it's like mellowing out. It doesn't happen. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I pull up to the cabin, and like it turns out Malcolm Watson was like coming around signing shit, and apparently he was at the cabin and he was asking for me. And I was like, oh. I'm like, well, who the fuck's Malcolm Watson? And they're like, you don't know who Malcolm Watson? I'm like, nah. They're like, he's that dude you were skating with earlier. I'm like, oh, really? They're like, yeah, go check your bunk. I like went in and checked my bunk, and he left his board there signed on my bunk. I was like, no shit. So my brother took my prosthetic leg and fucking ran it out to him and had him sign the foot. So I have that too. My brother ended up snapping that fucking Malcolm Watson board though, unfortunately, because I let him skate it when his deck snapped. I told him, I was like, you can skate it, but don't snap it. He ended up snapping it.
Fuck.
But I at least have the foot.
Did you ever use that foot again?
I might have actually, like, some of the signature may have like smudged, unfortunately, but like it's still there. It's still very much there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple like cool instances like that around the MySpace days, like back in that time at Woodward, okay? We did like what was called a pizza jam, where all the cabins would kind of come together and just kind of do a run as a cabin, and it was like best session per cabin, best like collective cabin wins a pizza party for their cabin or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's a collective like skating thing for each person, teams essentially. And I wasn't gonna do the pizza jam because again I was nervous as shit. But then I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. So the like announcer dude or whatever says like everybody's name in the cabin, and then when I like jump down in, he's like, oh, and Chris Gentry, and then he like, I wasn't necessarily paying attention to him, but I did hear him. I was more so, you know, like nervous for skate and like trying to focus on that, but I heard him say something like, wait, not the pro, right? And like I was like, what the fuck? So that kind of was like odd to me. Well, then I ended up finding out there's another pro skater. There's a pro skater named Chris Gentry. Back around the MySpace days, I ended up getting in contact with him, and he's cool as shit. He was like super stoked that there was another one out there that skates and shit, and yeah, he loved it. But flash forward, I actually got to actually meet him then in at the Do Tour in Ocean City, which was sick. There was Benji Galloway, which my buddy Chaz knew. He was there, so like I got to meet him because of my buddy Chaz, and there was a lot of skaters on the deck that I said what's up to. I couldn't remember half their names. I know Omar Hassan, Bucky Lassick was there. Nolan, I think it's Nolan Monroe, I think is his name. Pedro Barros was there. I think that's the year he won. Yeah, Andy Mack, a lot of people. I think Liftberg was there, maybe. A lot of names, and then Cab as well. Chris Postrous, just so many names. And out of everybody, I've never met Tony.
The one dude.
I've never met the Hawk Man. It's crazy.
Yeah. But you did meet John Comer.
Did meet Comer. Comer was awesome. So Comer, actually, when I first met him, I had no idea. Like, and again, like it's because pure ignorance on my part. Like back, I'm from a small town. When I was skating and I was like learning, I never knew that there would be other people out there like skating without, you know what I mean? Like, so when I went to the Extremity Games, it was like very much a first for me for like meeting other people with like disabilities that are like doing, you know, action sports and shit. Like, so John was actually one of the judges a couple times for those events. He was actually one of the judges for the event I took first in, which is fucking awesome. And yeah, he judged the first Extremity Games, I think the second, the third. I mean, he skated with us too, but he didn't want to skate in them because he's a pro. So yeah, he just judged the whole time, but he always called us the Pirates. We were at the award ceremony, and he gave the pirate table a shout out. We fucking gave him a toast. Yeah, cool dude, man. Rest in peace, John. He was awesome. Pioneer, that man was. And then like another great dude we lost that like has seen my skating that I can die happily knowing was Jay Adams. And that was actually all through Facebook of all places too, because a buddy of mine that lives in Fresno, his name's Buddy Elias. He's like, he started out when I first met him. He started out having one leg below knee amputation, right? And it was due to Berger's disease from smoking cigarettes. This guy, dude, so his foot was essentially dying and like, you know, getting gangrened and shit, and he didn't want to go to the doctors. So what he would do is he would go to his bathroom and he would fill up his, like, after he'd tuck his kids in at night and fucking say night to his wife, he would go to the bathroom, dude, fill up the tub with water, put some fucking ice in there, sit in there and like put his, like, you know, like put his face under and start trimming at the fucking dead skin, like with his like shears and shit, because he did not want to like lose his leg. It's crazy. And he was doing that for quite some time before he finally like couldn't take it anymore and ended up getting it amputated. So anyway, flash forward, I think it was either the second or third year then I met him, and he had more of his leg taken away. This time he was a above knee amputee. So now he was skating like I was, and he like was thanking me and shit. And he always gives me credit for the style, and I'm like, hey dude, whatever works for you, that's awesome. But it's cool. He's a cool dude. But anyway, that's I think maybe one of the only reasons that Jay knew of me, because Jay met Buddy before, and they skated, I believe, in Venice and shit together and stuff. And like Jay was fucking totally like Jay was always 100% skateboarder. So when he sees somebody with like a disability getting on a skateboard, like wanting to skate, he knows that they like want to skate. You know what I mean? Like he knows that they're not just like trying to fucking look like they're skating. He knows they want to skate. So he was all for it. And he commented on my picture of me doing one of like my one and only inverts ever, and he commented on it and like said that's badass and shit like that. And I've had a couple exchanges with him, and then the unfortunate part is when he passed away, his I think his wife or his chick, whoever she was to him, who he was with, like deactivated his shit. Or I don't know if it was deactivated and then switched to like a memorial page. I'm not sure how that works, but like it like deleted those comments. I have screenshots of them somewhere because I wanted to save them, but like it deleted them, unfortunately, so they're not like preserved there live, but I have the shots of them somewhere. It's so sick. But yeah, Jay Adams was another cool dude that was like all about it.
Yeah. Well, that wraps it up for today. I think that should be everything. We're gonna do a little couple of questions that the community have left for us. Okay, so the first one: what's your favorite pre-made park?
Oh man, that sucks. I'm very ignorant with like the park names and stuff. Shit. The only thing I could think of is was it like DDT, Darren's anything from Darren Throne, I guess.
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite song from the Tony Hawk games?
Oh, that's a really tough one. They all have really good soundtracks. Anything but Superman.
Okay.
Song has ever done, and too much budget's focused on it. Give me a new one.
And what music genre do you think best represents the series?
I guess. What genre? Wow. I can't really like focus in on a singular genre because of the culture of skateboarding is made up of so many different subcultures, and that's the reason that the soundtracks are so versatile. That's the reason we could even talk about the genres in the game in the first place. But to give you a more simple answer, I think whatever genre would be most suited for the theme of that game, like whatever that game's trying to invoke, if that theme can help get that point across, I think that's a winning soundtrack. If they can kind of go hand in hand and harmonize each other, and I think they've done that in a pretty good way. Like Underground kind of has a underground vibe to it with the soundtrack as well, to give you that feel in all genres. And it's the same way in like American Wasteland and Project 8. I'm a fan of game soundtracks, and I'm a fan of like all music. Like my playlist, it makes me look like a schizophrenic psychopath because I could be listening to like country and then rap and then rock and jazz, and I get a multitude of things. So yeah. Very hard to say for a genre, but whatever genre would complement the game's feeling the most. I would say. If it's an action one, give me some harps and stuff. You could give me some of that.
Next question. Do you grow your own food?
I have in the past, not like first person, but like helping out my grandfather and such. But like I wanted to. I've toyed around with the idea of like doing a garden. I just haven't had the time nor money. So.
All right. Are the rest of the HMFG, Hardest Motherfuckers in Gaming, and BGOAT members still around?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so a lot of unfortunately there's like some BGOAT members have passed. There's some BGOAT members that like we've just haven't been able to get in contact with. There's luckily some members we've got in contact with, and like they're doing well at the very least, so that's cool. But yeah, there's still active BGOAT members. There's some that still play TH. There's still some that just generally play various games, even together still too. There's a lot of bonds in BGOAT that were made, so there's a lot of friends that still keep in touch and whatnot with each other at the very least. And then HMFG, that's actually something that 6volt and I started as like an idea that BGOAT really wasn't going to go anywhere other than being an archive type deal. We wanted to do like HMFG, so we did that, and eventually, I'll say it. Eventually, 6volt and I kind of butted heads at one point, and I kind of seen it coming. But like, so I very much wanted it to be like a 50-50 thing, because it was very much both our ideas. Like he came to me with the idea, and then like I put stuff together. Like I was doing graphics, website, mainly like community shit, like community management shit. And he did come up with the idea, whatever. And he was doing stuff too, like community manager type shit too. But I very much looked at it like 50-50. At one point, he said something about it being his, so I fucking rug pulled it, and it was mine. So we didn't talk for like years, but then I talked to him not too long ago when I was out like by his area. We didn't get to meet up, but I at least like sent him a picture that I was close by and said what up and shit, and asked him how he was doing. Like there's no real ill will there. Like I think he's a cool dude. I mean, like I don't know. I've had fun online with him and shit, and it is what it is. Like, but as far as HMFG, then there's this gentleman by the name of Relic, and I met him through Facebook, because HMFG was kind of just like the implication for it was just gaming community, a gaming community, and I was playing Black Ops 3 at the time. And I wanted to do the Black Ops 3 Easter egg with people, and I met Relic on Facebook, and we were doing we wanted to do Shadows of Evil Easter egg, and it's doable with 3 people, but the timing has to be fast. It's not intended to be done with 3 people. It's very much intended to be done with 4 people. So we got to a certain point in the Easter egg with 4 people, where, because I told him like, yeah, let's do it, I want to get it done, and I was trying to help him out, and we got to a certain step where we needed 4 people, and the 4th person fucking left. They either left or they disconnected, and we like spent all night like getting like to this point, and like we were so close, and everybody was getting ready to quit. So I started bullshitting them, and I was like, no, it's doable, like I've done it before. Never done it before. But I was like, yeah, I've done it before. It's doable with 3 people. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there in my head, like, trying to think of, like, the best fucking way that I could get this done. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I have to... Because all it really was pathing. You just had to be fast enough. And at that point, we ran it a couple times, and I seen that it was feasible, but, like, I needed them to also make, like, some precision pathing, so I just kind of I kind of laid out my waypoint, gave them an idea of like where they should be, and then fucking we did the damn thing. And then from there, like, he was my zombie partner, and we did Revelations. We actually speed ran that a couple times, and Mr. Raffle Waffles actually acknowledged it. It was pretty cool. He's a popular zombie YouTuber, and yeah, that was pretty neat. But he's like one of the main dudes in HMFG, and he's definitely still around. He's a Fortnite god. I think he's been like fucking around on Marvel Rivals and such, but he used to be the COD partner, but COD's just fell off so hard. It's a rarity. I mean, we're gonna definitely run that Easter egg that just dropped, but I mean, it's probably the extent of that, and then we'll be on it the next DLC. But it's so like we were putting out content originally, and I was like keeping the YouTube channel updated with certain like Easter egg guides and stuff and different streams, and I was doing like, I think, giveaways and challenge streams and shit, whatever. But yeah, I just haven't done those in a long time because I just kind of been focusing on the TH modding. But HMFG at the very least is just, it's still like a thing. It's just a group of friends kind of hanging out and gaming together. And there's another buddy of mine, Tim Jim. He has his own posts, various clips, and there's there's some questionable shit on there. And yeah, Relic, I think he posts his clips, and I sometimes I'll post shit for him and vice versa. But yeah, it's all a fun little collective, and my brother's actually in HMFG. He's very much still around. He has all sorts of game consoles. Like he's keeping the he's trying to keep the N64 alive in HMFG. Dude, nobody else is doing. It's like, but he loves it. I can't, like, he tells me all the time, he's like, let's play No Mercy or something, and I'm like, yeah, but like, that game was fun then, you know, to me at least. Like, and it's not even the graphics. It's not the graphics. I can get past that. I'm not a graphics guy. I'll play Super Mario. That's cool. But at this point, I was spoiled with the fluency of the games now versus then. I can't can't go back. I can't go back. I could probably go back to a certain point though. I could probably go back to like SVR 2008. Yeah. That was solid.
All right, next question. What's your favorite Rethought tricks?
Oh man, everything that Drake did.
Hey.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm not gonna lie. Earlier, what did I do? Fuck. I did some sort of. Okay, so this is what I was doing. I like doing the manual, like the 1 foot manual, and the hyper spin with it, because you can just continuously spin with the, you know, in that state. And I was doing that earlier, and as I was mid spin, I tricked out and I did a big spin, but the board was like in line with my movement, and I caught that shit so clean, and it looked cool as hell. And it was, I don't know, it was something I noticed when I was playing earlier, and it looked really good. And I'm not even on the latest.
Oh shit.
That's the craziest part. Like, I haven't even really seen all the craziness that's been added, because like there's a lot of, my development process is weird, and I'm behind a little bit on certain things because I'm kind of mainly focusing on levels. And once I get past a certain point in publishing what I have done, then I'll update. But where I'm at, everything feels good, and like it's a good sign because everything only gets better. But yeah, I've seen some of the stuff, and I like it. I like it all. I like the fact that we have the option for different animations and different play styles. Just that alone is super cool. But if I had to narrow it on a trick, it was that nose man, the big spin. That was sick.
Thanks, man. All right. THPS HD. You have said that it has that has special places in your heart. Tell us about them.
Oh man. So earlier I mentioned like my daughter was born the same year THHD came out. So that's a big thing. It was kind of cool because for me, after Ride and Shred, like I had zero hopes of any Tony Hawk game coming out, right? And I'm pretty sure everybody else like had no high hopes either. And then flash forward, like boom, 2012, we're getting another Tony Hawk game. Like at the very least, it was what it was, but we were getting another Tony Hawk game. You can't lie, there was hype around that. So it was that alone right there, like getting a Tony Hawk game the same year my daughter was being born. It was around the same time too that they came out, so that was like even cooler. But that was cool. And then the simple fact that since I've been in BGOAT for so long, and Neversoft was aware of BGOAT and our skill level of finding bugs in their games, it was kind of like a no-brainer for Robomoto to kind of consult, I guess, with me. I mean, I think I reached out first, maybe. Either way, we hit it off immediately, and it's like, yeah, this could be a beautiful partnership. And I in no way like made anything for them except for Pro Skater 5. I wrote patch notes that like 95% got put in. But for HD, it was mainly like consulting, and I didn't even really know that they had a game coming out. Like I said, it was kind of after the fact that I knew there was a game coming out. Then I kind of like, we knew Robomoto, then I kind of got in contact with it I needed to, but I didn't really have any like quote unquote say in anything or any merit in any say until after the game came out. So like anything kind of post-release quality of life things I suggested were definitely like, oh, you guys need Create a Park for sure, like that's not here. You create a skater's not here, you know, like little things, gameplay things like the grinds there too snappy, but it's all, there's reasoning to these things which they explained to me.
Yeah,
it's all engine things and limitation and just trying to make things work. It happens, but in Pro Skater 5, then I kind of had a heads up that they were doing something in a subtle way, because I was kind of asked. And this is like a good while after HD was out. I was talking with Josh, and he kind of asked me, like, what would, like, say we did another game, and I'm like, okay, like here we go, we're doing it. And he's like, so like, say we did another game, like saying we are, because he can't, but say we did another one, like what would be things that like we absolutely need? And like, I'm like, I'll say no more. We need Create a Park, create a skater. Like you need to refine the physics. Like, if you can, you need to make the rails less snappy. Like, wall ride should be looked at. Just Create a Park could be better, you know?
yeah.
Different little things. But yeah, the things I wrote for the patch notes involved like UI breaks. There was a lot of like UI stacking you could do with their UI, and then there was a major Create a Park flaw where they made it so you could delete your respawn point, and when you delete the respawn point, you go out of bounds, the game doesn't have that node to teleport you to, so you could just infinitely go out of bounds. So one of my major like that was at the top of my shit was like, make it so you cannot delete the respawn point, only move it. So that was something that they implemented. One thing that they implemented that I did not ask for was like, they made the game easier. If you played Pro Skater 5 pre-patch, you can do what's called force bailing out of a quarter pipe by holding like a grab and a grind at the top of a quarter pipe, and then you could send your skater flying. So this was a good thing for me as a glitcher, because I knew how the respawn system worked, because the respawn system essentially just looks for, it's flagging for certain areas that say they're skatable, and if it finds it, it'll put you there. So I was trying to find things that were flagged skatable that weren't necessarily not like meant to be skated. One of those things I ended up getting on top of was the barracks roof in Pro Skater 5 because I did a bail grind glitch off the vert onto the ceiling, and I was able to get on a spot by exploiting the respawn. However, after the patch, for whatever reason, you can't do that anymore. They either really toned down the gravity of like the force bail, or they just made it like near impossible to bail. It's weird because there's some sort of fine line there, because a lot of people were complaining about the clipping, and I think in their mind they were like, let's just make them bail less. I guess I have no.
Yeah,
but I did not like that change.
You can land flip tricks before they end, and it just says sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
Land sideways,
yeah,
sloppy.
I don't know what they did, but I hated that change, and that was I think I brought that up to Josh, but I didn't want to like bulldoze him. So, but I was just kind of like, oh, it's weird. Like I can't do this now. And he in his mind he's like, well, that's a good thing. So it wasn't necessarily a negative thing, but it was at the same time for gameplay, because it's odd. I don't know.
Yeah. It makes the game less fun in general.
Yeah, it definitely like feels more simmy, like post update. It's weird.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to say about that game, because it already feels really simmy.
Yeah, the stats in that game, oh god.
Yeah.
The stat multipliers are something else. You got a lot of hang time, but no spin.
Yeah, which is weird, because like HD had like too much of like everything.
Yeah. I tried editing the values, but unlike HD, which just has them in the skater archetype, UPK, Pro Skater 5 has it, but for some reason changing the values there does nothing. So I think they just applied those in Unreal and locked them internally. So it's like, oh fuck, I can't mod this game. But HD I can, and change the physics around. And I gotta say, if you change the values, it plays pretty much like a PS2 games.
Yeah.
So that's my conspiracy theory.
That's pretty much what they were going off of. HD was, a lot of people say like 2X, but they very much like used Underground 2 assets for a lot of things. Even Warehouse, they used training. It's weird to think about, but it was, I had it confirmed, and yeah, the way you can tell is if you go down the right side roll in at the start of the level, you air over the quarter pipe, air over the taxi, go up that back wall, go to the way right to that corner, the back right of the corner wall, and you tilt your camera. In Thug 2 training, you'll see there's a gap in the mesh from the deck of the ramp and the wall. And then if you go into Pro Skater HD's warehouse, you'll see the exact same gap. And that gap does not exist in 2X or any of the PSX versions of warehouse.
Damn.
Yeah, I spotted that, and I asked about it, and they were like, "Damn, that's a good eye."
But why did they leave the gap there?
No clue. No clue. So well, here's the thing. So they've like in HD with the way that game was developed all haphazardly, like it was very much not their fault. With it being them wanting to make an HD version without the given assets, they were remaking the assets at first, and then halfway through development, Activision's like, "Oh, here, you can have these now." So now they were kind of like with their dicks in their hands, and they're like, well, we have what we made, but now we have the actual original assets. Well, what do we do? well, let's scrap everything we did because we want the original assets, and I guess let's reskin the original assets. So a lot of the original assets were either reskinned or like reworked at the very least, like with some touch up to the mesh. But that could be a case of that, like that plane got overlooked. Could very well be.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit. Fuck. There was also the Dorian School 2. I think you mentioned to me that originally was going to be openable. You know, the one that's in the Gons Gap.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was another they were going to open that up. And the windows to like the gym that kind of that I kind of like the way I kind of did it in our version. It was, I think, going to kind of be like in the same manner, maybe not like a skatable way through, like I had at least like airing through the windows from the gym out back to the atrium was something I was told was like in development, but then they got told to nix it because it wasn't in the original game, I guess. So there was
there was a what?
There was like the BGOAT logo. There was talks of having the BGOAT logo in HD and 5, but it wouldn't pass the legal team for some reason. Fucking Activision.
Yeah, I actually have a conspiracy theory. My theory is that the reason why the physics are so floaty in HD is because Activision told them to do it like that. That's what I believe.
Well,
because again, changing the values, it's really easy to make it play like THPS 3, for example. It's very easy.
So
the unused revert animation, stuff like that. So it's like, what happened?
Yeah, their focus, if I remember correctly, like even though they were like, so the reason they were using mainly Thug 2 assets is because like they had quote unquote the most like up to date versions of that, like Airport was in Thug 2, you know, so on and so forth. A lot of source stuff is in there already, so whatever. But as far as like the way the game felt, they wanted it to stay true to the way like 1 and 2 felt, but they wanted to have that 3 feel too as well, like with the reverts and shit. But I know they wanted it to be a fine line between like 2 and 3, but I think they were mainly riding on 2.
Yeah,
I think they were like the feel they were trying to really go for. I think 2, which if you do play 2 and you play HD, 2 is kind of floaty.
Yeah, not as floaty, but yeah, floaty. But yeah, the reason why I mentioned this is that what I did for THPS Redux, which is a mod that might come out soon, not sure when I'm gonna release it. I just took the skater archetype physics values. Most of them are named the same as the Tony Hawk games, the proper ones. And I just grabbed the values from Thaw and copy pasted them. And it's pretty close, so I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. They I mean, to be real, Robomoto did a decent job with what they had and the engine that they were using, trying to emulate something that it wasn't. But I mean, yeah, like it's there. The idea's there. It's, I don't know. So what I like about 1+2, I think the most, is the fact that how they have things set up is kind of, well, not kind of, but it's almost 1-in-1. How Neversoft was doing things with like the collision and the flagging, and like I'm a fan of that. I mean, I think I think Robo did that too, though. You would have to do the flagging, I'm sure, as well. Similarly, I mean, they just use splines for Rails too. So
I think
that's
vert
not.
though is, at least from looking at the values and stuff. There's values like vert angle. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm guessing that their vert objects sort of like, okay, this is a ramp. What type of object is it? It's a vert ramp. And then it looks for the threshold. And oh, the skater is at this angle. So he must be right now vert. This is a vert object. Then go into vert error. That's what I think they did. Because, yeah, there's no face flagging system in Unreal. You can only have physics materials. So, the other way I'm thinking of doing it for secret project is having two objects on top of each other. So a collision and the flag collision. So the collision would have like physics materials for, the terrain, and would be the collision itself. The other one wouldn't be collidable. It would just be a copy of the same object, but the materials would be like vert, bank, skatable, non-skatable. Basically the same as vert flags, but physics materials. That's at least how I'm thinking of doing it, with like a separate raycast channel. And that seems like the most plausible option, but I'm pretty sure Vicarious had custom code for it, I think, because they did it in C++. I don't know how they did it for THPS HD, if they did it raw on C++ or like went for another code. Probably C++. But judging from those values, I think they just did it like the easiest route, which is vert object, then check for the angle and just go from that. Which, to be fair, it's not a bad implementation. I mean, it works. All right, next question. Do you hope Rethought will live out to become the best THPS mod?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think we aspire to, for sure.
Yeah. Spire. Great company.
Aspire.
Favorite of the first four THPS 4 game. THPS, fuck. Favorite of the first 4 THPS games.
Oh man, that's hard to say. Of the first 4, man. It's so I really like 3. 3's got a lot of decent like style to it, just because the fact like I always liked the way the backwards manuals looked. I don't know if it was ever really intended to be a thing, but I liked the way it looked.
It was a bug. I think it's only in the PC version.
Yeah, I really liked the way it looked. It looked cool for like certain style and shit.
And now we
but
have Rethought, and you can actually steer it.
Oh yeah, TH4 though is goated. TH4 is always a great one.
The first NX game. Just fucking.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what were your thoughts when you got the CND from Activision? Like, what was the thought process? Like, immediately, what went through your mind?
Oh man, I was just like, ah, shit. Like, really? It's weird because, like, I've been with like the TH community for so long and whatnot, and I don't know. I was also like, I'm always talking to different people in different studios underneath them, and like having the opportunity to play certain games, that they make under that publisher, and then that publisher's like, stop it, and I'm like, yo, I'm the games that are published under you guys love, like, what the hell? Kind of, it sucked, but I mean, it was what it was. I get it. At the same time, like, their argument I don't agree with, but I mean, it's their business and it's their right to say, hey, stop it.
Yeah. Okay. What
did suck though.
Yeah, it obviously did. What do you think the future holds for THPS?
Oh man,
There was the clickbaity Tony talked about a new game or something that never did anything.
I don't it's hard to say. It all depends who's gonna be next up to bat with the series if that ever happens.
But who could possibly do it at this point? Like, what studio Activision has that could do it? Because Toys for Bob doesn't work for them anymore. Vicarious is in Blizzard. I mean, they could get Infinity Ward, but they're gonna make the next COD. Could maybe get Treyarch, but they're gonna have support for the next COD. I don't know.
So they do have studios, like they have talented studios, but I don't know if they can look at the series like it's not just another cash grab, and give any one of their studios a solid actual chance, then I'm sure they could reignite the series for sure in exciting and new ways. But the big question is if they want to. I mean, I'm sure they want to because they want the money, but they're only going to spend so much money to make so much money. It's as unfortunate as it is. Could be anybody though. I mean, is Toys for Bob still a thing? And
yeah, but I think they went independent. I think they escaped the grip of Activision.
Well, that's nice. If anything, maybe one day the NS lads will get back together. That'd be great.
Hopefully, that would be great. All right, what's your favorite Tony Hawk game in general? Like, not only the first one, like in general, of all the series, of all the spin-offs and remakes, what's your favorite?
It's not Ride. No. Man, American Wasteland, I have such fond memories because like that's around the time I got into bGoat and really honed in on my glitching skills. And but I don't know, it's hard to say. There's different eras of like my life that like correlate with like each title, so it's hard to hone in on one, but like I always default to American Wasteland at the very least as like a good medium between everything, because the love starts at like I love all the titles, but the real love starts at like TH3 up until at the very least I'd say like 5 even, but like we could scale back from 5 if we had to. We could go to PG. If I wanted to be generous, we could scale to 5. I mean, different aspects also like kind of shape my opinion of what I would define like one of my favorites, like which one I had the most fun glitching, or but it definitely situational, but overall Rethought is like a good medium, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. What was your experience playing THPS online back in the day?
Oh man, contrary to popular belief, it wasn't very much experience. Around like THPS 4 Underground, I was just like a forum worker in bGoat, and yeah, I didn't have like online. I didn't even really have my own computer myself. I would go to like public library, print out glitches or like view the forums, eventually sign up. But like I'd be at the library, and eventually I had my own computer and like was able to interact more on bGoat and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. I forgot. What was the main question? Sorry, I was getting somewhere with that, and I had to like lay the foundation.
What was your experience playing THPS online back in the day, like multiplayer?
Okay, so it wasn't until like I had like online presence, but not like online presence, if that makes sense. And it wasn't until American Wasteland that I was able to finally get a taste online, which, yeah, it's ironically just kind of where everything went. That's why it's a good default. I just didn't have an online network adapter. It was like at the time where you could not find them. I mean, they were getting like built into the systems and shit, and I had an old fat, so it was like, I don't want to get a new system. I'm definitely not telling that to my grandparents who just got me this one. Like, you know what I mean? They don't want to go get me because it doesn't have this slot in it. Shit, like, and then you got to get internet involved, like, convince them that, like, we just got this computer now. It's like, now I want to run some wires all over the house. Like, so eventually I got what I wanted. It was like late American Wasteland that I really was able to play online, and it was still pretty active, but it just wasn't like the glory days. And I can say the glory days because I was kind of there, but not.
Yeah.
There was a lot of BGOAT and Friends videos being put out, and everything was happening. Project 8 had a decent, like, I played Project 8 online for a little bit, and that was kind of a little bit after its, like, main life too, but it had a decent online presence. It was strange, but it was decent.
What is your most masochistic Blender endeavor? And how long did it take?
Oh, fuck. I mean, I'm like defaulting to the point cloud data stuff, but okay, yeah, the point cloud data was like such a headache. If you're not aware of like what point cloud data is, essentially you can think of meshes and every object made up of triangles, and each part of that triangle has a vertex to it, collectively known as vertices. So there's just points of the mesh. A triangle has 3. The more triangles you have, the more of a mesh you have for an object. So I so badly want to keep progressing with content that I don't have like the necessary like know-how to like program these tools and such to automate such processes. So it's like I was bringing files into like model researcher and pulling all this point cloud data, which is just the points of the mesh, not the actual mesh, but just the points. No face data, nothing. And I was going in and rebuilding levels, whole ass levels, like zones with point cloud data. Mind you, I also had to remake all of the UV maps because those are not there. They're non-existent. There's no face data. So I had to remake those. And as a perfectionist, I like to do shit one-on-one. So painstakingly, I banged out quite a bit of things with point cloud data. I'd say that was pretty chaotic. But I mean, there's other things I've done too that are pretty wild, like just the remix restoration stuff is crazy too, because it's just like pulling in a bunch of stuff into a scene that's like already made. And so that's actually how I do a lot of map edits now, which is weird, but it's like a lot of scene pulling in, and it's just strange way to develop, but I oddly like it.
All right. What is it like developing a mod like Rethought?
It depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask, like what they do. For me personally, it's an everyday grind to try to put something out that is like, I don't know. I want it to be 1-1, but I want it to be better than. So it's a constant battle of like trying to integrate and evolve while also staying true. But it's at the same time, it's easy to kind of make those decisions because the community is, for the most part, open to it when it makes sense. Like toggle wise, like level toggles and such, like options. I mean, I don't think you're ever gonna hear a gamer say they could use less options. So that's always like a decent thing to do. But like, I personally, as a developer on it, I enjoy the feedback too, and like seeing people enjoy the content. So that's always nice. But other than that, personally, it's always a grind to just put out as much cool stuff as possible and try to keep the love alive for like true TH.
Yeah. Gotta keep working on it.
What's that?
Gotta keep working on it.
Oh, I have sticky notes in front of me. I could read them aloud. They're on my desk. A couple things are crossed out. One of them says Skatopia toggles, and that say I gotta squint. Fireworks ? On fire state ! The other sticky note says Hollywood. It's crossed out Walk of Fame kickers because that'll be shipped with the next update. And then Dino Destruct, which is not crossed out quite yet, but eventually. And then eventually, not anytime soon maybe, but the enhanced scissor lift is noted on there. So eventually that'll be a thing. NYC, I don't know if I can read that sticky note aloud, but the first part of it says step 1, play ball. Vans Park, I have the Jeep toggle that's crossed out, and then in parentheses I have other mission toggle ? I want to see if I can't maybe do any more love for Vans and make some sense of some things. I don't know if they had any other toggles, but if not, we can try to make something work for mission packs or something. And then I have a couple more parentheses that say Neversoft Easter egg ? Supervillain Easter egg ? So there's some stuff to. That's just a couple of the sticky notes.
Yeah. And we're definitely gonna give Van Spark some love because they just demolished the combi, dude.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And after they demolished it too. They demolished it and then they demolished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to watch that shit live at least though. That's sick.
Yeah, thanks Bucky. You
Hell
fucking
yeah.
rock.
Yeah, Bucky's cool. Well, yeah.
Well, I think that's it for this episode. And you have any ending closing remarks you wanna add?
Oh man. I hope everybody keeps enjoying everything that we are putting out. If you're not enjoying it, let us know because we're open to hearing it. Just let us know. Let us know nicely. I'd be much more inclined to hear you out rather than be like told something. Like, you know what I mean? A little bit of etiquette. But yeah, that like a lot of game developers, that's one thing that they appreciate is feedback, productive feedback. So, and that's how we can keep the game fresh for you guys. So if there's something you want to see in there that maybe like we overlooked it, maybe we thought of it and haven't yet, but forgot about it, or maybe it's in the back burner and it should be brought again. Anything. Maybe we didn't think of it. Just throw it out there and we'll let you know and get it out there hopefully, and a lot of fun stuff happening. The 10K mod depot, you can check out a lot of mods on there if you're a content creator. TH modder, if you wanted TH mod, I definitely recommend checking it out. Checking out the 10K Rising Discord, THPS Goat Discord. There's a lot of different TH communities out there. There's a couple that are mainly focused on modding that I would highly recommend. Ask questions for sure, and you'll get answers. And yeah, I mean, pretty much it. Yeah, couldn't do this without Drake. Couldn't do this without Zed. Couldn't do this without the community. Like, there's a lot of iron. Shout out to everybody in THPS Goat, Skater. There's just way too many people to name. Ash, like AK. Like, I have such a tiny brain, and there's a lot of names in there, like, knock to get out, but they're there. I promise you, they're there. But yeah, y'all know who you are, and yeah, there's, I mean, even Thug Pro Team, shout out. They've been like a help in getting me to where I am with certain things in the modding community. I've asked questions, I've got answers, so that's always cool. And yeah, that's much love to everybody.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and give us your money. Subscribe and like the video and stuff, and share with your friends, and
like and subscribe for a new mixtape.
yeah.